Oh, we're live? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. You paid money to see the Marvels?
Uh, why, yes, I am drinking Founder's Sweet Repute.
What the fuck? Unbelievable. Like money that could have been spent on anything. You were just like, I don't know, let me spend it on this
Yes, and here's why, because
movie.
uh, it's something my wife and I would do
Don't
because
blame
we're
the wife.
both MCU fans, and then
Don't
we
blame the
just
wife.
try to do it for the sake of like date
Don't
night
bring
or
that
date
don't bring
mode.
that poor woman into this. She had nothing to do with this. This is a decision that you made as a grown man,
I
okay?
did.
Cherry, what are you drinking? Jesus.
Okay. I am drinking it is a let me look at this here.
Okay,
It is a banana split frothy.
you always have the most creative beers. It's
I
awesome.
do. I do. And
Wait, that's a
I
beer?
haven't Yes, hold on. Where's the chat? How do I get Oh, wait. Let me go into the chat and I will paste this in here and then you can look it up on that fancy
It's not something
computer thing.
it's not something I can buy.
Well,
So
I
why are you
bought
sending me
it.
a link?
I don't know. You might be able to buy it. Who knows?
Mm.
Check that shit out.
All right,
But
I'll take a
Yeah,
look.
I'm
it
about
doesn't
to
necessarily have to
try
be
this out for the first
local.
time right here
Yeah.
on live TV. It's exciting.
Cool. Kevin, what are you drinking? Tell me,
Oh my!
was it like a matinee at all? Was it like a cheap was it like a
Oh,
free
it's
screening?
delicious.
Was the popcorn at least included?
No, it was like
Did they
4:30 on a Sunday, um, not
did you
matinee.
did you get a senior discount? Did they apologize to you after the movie?
No,
No.
no.
Okay, what are you drinking?
It was not the worst
Shame?
Marvel movie, first of all.
Shame.
Are you drinking shame? Is that what you're drinking?
No, no,
Okay.
Sweet Repute.
Wow, cool.
It's a limited edition Founders in the Imperial. They do a bunch of different things aged in bourbon barrels or other kind of barrels. Like the Masagavi is a Founders aged in tequila barrels, and
Ooh, that
that's my
sounds real good.
favorite. Um, but that is out because that's seasonal, and this one is like I guess a fall or winter seasonal brew.
Okay.
So it's let's see how what they say. It's a wheat wine style ale with maple syrup, and it's aged in bourbon barrels. Quite tasty,
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
and it's
mine
also
is
11%, 12.8%.
mine is a fruited sour with pineapple, banana, cherry, pecan, vanilla, and chocolate ice cream.
Oh my God,
You'd
Jesus!
be
That sounds great
jealous.
enough. Yeah, I am embarrassingly, yeah. So I still cannot drink alcohol because I'm recovering from major surgery, so I'm just having Earl Grey tea. Sorry.
What surgery would that be,
Oh,
Skippy?
it was pretty major. Like I've as a man, I now know what it's like for women to give birth. I've suffered on the same level as that. I understand. I feel like I have a connection to them now, having gone through what I gone through last Friday.
You're gonna
That's
get a
true.
lot of counter to any women that are listening. I think.
Yeah, that surgery
Thank
was so
God there's
stupid.
no women listening.
No, no, I just got snipped, and it was like a complete nothing procedure. It was
Yeah.
like I would say honestly, in every sense, getting a haircut is a more difficult procedure than what I got done. Like this was like there was it was
It takes
quicker.
longer.
There was yeah, there was still some snipping, but considerably less, and the conversation was nicer, and they just let me out, and yeah, it was yeah. Like
Me,
I didn't expect it to be a very difficult process, but it was like a complete nothing of a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
and now
Because
you get to wear that little ball snug,
no, no,
jockstrap
that's the
thing.
thing. I
No,
didn't
he
even have
said
to
he
do that.
didn't
They
have
just
to.
said,
Oh,
yeah, they're just like,
oh,
no, just they're like, yeah, just don't wear boxers. Wear something that's a little more snug, but you don't, yeah.
oh,
They're like,
that's
yeah,
right.
if
You're
they're
teddy
like, yeah,
whiteys.
yeah. They said they're like, technically like it's better if you wear like a support, but they're like, if you don't have it, just wear, whatever. So I found this like I had like an eye patch lying around, so I just kind of strapped it on there. Like, I got plenty of leftover space, so
Eye
it's fine.
patch.
Yeah.
But
What?
I had to
What do you got
my
against
like
pirates?
my aftercare kit was make sure you come with a jock strap, cut a hole in the center for anatomy, and then literally wear that straight for 2 days at least, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a recovery period from watching the Marvels. That makes sense. Yeah,
Actually,
terrible.
mine was wow, 12 years now.
Did you see the trailers
Uh,
for the movie before you went to see it?
yeah.
Did you walk into the wrong theater?
No.
No.
No, we
Did you?
did it on
You sure?
purpose because we were fans of Captain Marvel.
Oh,
It was
you're
not a
not helping.
disappointment.
You're so not helping.
And then after watching this movie, it was not the
Uh,
worst MCU movie by far.
okay, in your opinion, what is the worst MCU movie?
It
do,
what's the
do,
name
do,
of the Thor
do, do.
one with the
The
dark
dark,
elves and all that?
the dark,
So
yeah.
that one and Eternals are like on the same like really shitty level to me. Now,
S-
they just get grouped into yeah, fuck that movie. Like I don't need to
Right.
I don't really have an urge to ever see that movie again. So like if there's nuances, I don't I'm not here to philosophize over which one was worse than the other one, but they're both in that like dump it, throw it in the trash.
So you're saying Marvels is something you would see again?
Yeah, it wasn't horrible. It was, if
This is
anything,
the
it
last
was
episode of this
very sort
podcast
of
that came
like
through this.
family oriented and like there's, let's say a minor, a hero who is a minor. So like, let's not give it serious adult themes. Let's give it like cutesy, more. Let's say the
Look.
demographic for
Oh,
this movie was
sorry.
like young children to teens. But
You are
overall,
you're
there
making it
was
sound
like
even worse than I thought it was.
well, no. So like the point is like that's it. It had plenty of like MCU action, and then there were obviously CGI. Like this is let's say Guardians of the Galaxy sci-fi-ish because there's spaceships and like alien planets, which
Oh
is
yeah, no one else has done that. I get it. Yeah.
yeah. So like it's a superhero genre, but it's
Yeah, go ahead.
whatever.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
In other words, I'm
Yeah.
talking more about they get into the civilization and like technology weirdness, like that shit. Um, a huge part of it had to do with the way warping is portrayed, like warping between solar systems, whatever. So, but there are definitely some cringe-worthy, like hokey parts of it that are like, seriously, that's the way they portrayed that shit, and I couldn't tell if they were trying to give homage to um uh Captain Marvel in the comics, like lore, like actual canon lore, and then tried to bring it out, but it definitely had uh like a very comic-y kind of comedy type of movie, even though it had like sci-fi and action and all that kind of shit. At the end of the day, I know for absolute certain I think I can say very confidently you will never like this movie. Even if you
Oh, I
do
yeah.
break down and
Oh, I can
watch
tell you
it.
confidently. Yeah, I can tell you
But
confidently I
but
will
but
not.
you're doing it only from trailer. I'm saying like no
No,
no.
I actually
You
no,
will watch
I swear.
Wandering Earth again before you watch this movie.
Oh my God, I would watch the shit out of the first Wandering Earth movie before I would watch this. Yes, absolutely. I would, yes. I would marathon the Wandering Earth back to back 3 or 4 times in a
I'm
row before I would ever sit through this
I didn't
fucking pile
hate
of
it.
trash.
It's the kind of it's one of the MCUs that I would like, you know, bring my very young child to, even though they're all sort of,
You don't
you know,
have a very young child.
no, the ubiquitous,
He didn't
person
mean one.
Oh,
with
He
there's
that
that
didn't.
kind
word
of
again.
demographic.
Yeah,
What?
he didn't
Don't be a
mean
dick. Yes, of course I don't have a young
he
child.
didn't mean his young child. He meant a random young child that he found in the parking
No,
lot.
oh
That's what
my
he took
God,
with him to the movie.
fuck.
Oh,
I'm talking
did you
about
get a white
someone
van with
might
no
bring.
windows?
No, it makes
Uh,
because you're embarrassed to go
I'm just
see it,
gonna
so
shut
you
up.
dragged a random child to see this. I get it.
No, we
Like
just
when you were buying
no.
tickets, you're
You know
like,
what? You want to know what happened? We infused our own coconut oil with good stuff. Had 2 teaspoons, which was quite a fun, nice dose, and went to the movie and proceeded to fucking zone
Oh,
through the whole
okay.
thing.
So that actually
Okay.
makes sense. I could see, yes,
That's
doing drugs, then going, you know, we should see, and then winding it, and then walking out of the Marvels going, whoa.
But also, you have to realize the context. Like, would I go out to see that movie alone in a theater? No. Was it because it was
why
like,
not?
And yet you were the only one in there, based on how much
n-
money that movie made. Except for the young child, obviously. Yes, I know he was there with me.
no, yeah, there that
Did you
our
buy him a ticket or
showing
did he
on a
sit on your
Sunday at
lap?
4:30 was, I have to honestly say, less than 20 people in that theater.
Less than 20, like
Yeah.
three?
I don't think I could say under 10
Three is
single
less than
digits,
20.
but it was between, let's say 2 digits, but not more than 20.
But you were high. So who really are you sure you went to the
Yeah,
theater?
maybe like when I walked in at
You just
4:30
watched the
and there was still
preview
like
for an
20
hour and a
minutes worth
half.
of commercials. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
at that
But no,
point,
I didn't. I'm not basing it, by the way, just to answer your question, I'm not basing it entirely off the trailer. I did see a bunch of clips from the movie because, yeah, there's no way I'm going to see it. And every clip that I saw, and I know it's not the same thing as watching a movie, and I know everybody who loved this movie is going to be like, how dare you? How can you judge a movie you didn't see?
but last
Literally
I
every clip
checked,
I saw, every
I mean,
little,
I hear
every
you,
clip that
but
I saw the final battle. I saw the fucking dance number. I'm sorry, I started watching the dance number,
dude,
and
I
after
didn't
two
know that
seconds,
was
I
going to
was
be
like,
in that, and I
nope.
was like, what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah. The colorful dance
Kind of
number
like,
can fuck right
really?
off.
Like, are we doing a musical? Is this just an excuse to throw a musical into the movie? And I think
Yeah.
that was the goal. I honestly think some writer was like, let's make up a this. And I'm like, wait, was this really in some comic at one point? Or did some
No, no.
artistic
Marvel
director
Comics
say, let's
never.
do it this fucking
Well,
way?
no, they did. I guess Marvel Comics, I'm sure, had some versions of
You know,
musicals in them
Oh my
before.
god, yeah.
okay, look, you gotta wrap context around this. You have
A lot of weed.
no, 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 no. Like, where is the demographic appeal?
I don't know.
It's
I
not
honestly, I don't
three.
know.
It's
I
not
have no idea.
three Gen Xer men with their own podcast. Fucking, we're not the demographic for this movie.
I think it's stoners, right? I mean,
But you can't say that because it's part of their mainstream storyline. You can't say it's not for that Gen X because all the other movies technically target that bracket as well.
No, but
So you can't
still,
just say, like, I can say Miss Marvel, the show was definitely not made for me. Like, I thought it looked absolutely horrible,
yeah.
but I
But
was like, yeah,
I mean, that
it's not for
actress
me.
is amazing. She carries that
Okay,
fucking movie, by the way,
so
alone.
I've heard two things. I've heard A, she carries the movie, and B, she's so fucking annoying that she ruined the movie. I can tell you right now, having seen a few minutes, again, it's having seen some of the clips and having seen less than one episode of Miss Marvel, because goddamn, she is annoying as fuck. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm not judging her by her personality. She might be a wonderful human
But wait,
being
is that
from
your
every
opinion, or are you repeating what you've read?
no, mine. No,
Oh,
mine from what? No, I'm saying I'm siding with the people who said that she's obnoxious and annoying. As in her role in her playing, I don't want to like badmouth the young woman who's acting. I'm sure she might be a wonderful human being, whatever. I'm saying just watching her performance is like nails on a chalkboard for
but
some
do you
people, and
not
I'm
like?
definitely in that camp.
So what I want to know is, some people consider an actor and their skills, and they think of the skill of acting versus you just can't get yourself into the character design.
I don't know. I didn't
So
get
you
that
don't like the
far.
character or the
Her
actor as a person?
her presence on the screen made me want to leave the room that I was in, is all I'm
Okay,
saying.
all right.
Like I can't
Well,
imagine
so
watching I can't imagine watching her performance for an entirety of a whole show and or a 2 hour movie. I can't. Just seeing her talk in the trailers makes me go, oh, it's
the
well, we know how
the
and
to
thing
that's
that gets me
torture
is
Skippy.
more about her character and her life, because she's like a teenager dealing with strict parents. Like that
yeah,
part,
don't care.
like fucking
Oh
get
no,
that shit.
yeah, that whole thing is, yeah, without saying I
The
don't give a shit
reaction
that
you
that that
described, that
that
induces
white
that in me, but her
yeah,
as an
that white
actor,
seed part of this whole thing, that I definitely don't give a shit about. That's why I didn't watch Gen V, by the way. I don't give a shit about those storylines. The misunderstood teenagers or whatever, I don't
yeah,
care.
I don't mind
That's
that
definitely not my
teeny boppy
that's not my
teen angst bullshit. Sometimes
yeah.
it's like okay.
No, I'm past
It
that. That
it, it
definitely
helps
doesn't do it for
me.
me.
I mean, my uh adult children are not in that age group anymore. But for a while, it overlaps into your world because you have someone in your life of a younger age, so you sort of like try to get their let's say pop culture reference level that's different than our generation. So like I'm
Yeah,
not
I get that. Yeah.
having 23 years at this point with children. I've had to adapt to like that other demographic and like let's say shit that they're used to. Even actually, well, no, my children are Gen Z, so there's that whole
Yeah, I mean, I
generational pop culture type of understanding that most generations don't try to like cross understand other
right,
generations around them, other than like their
right,
parents and their own.
right. No, I get it. I mean, I can't stress enough. Like, I make my jokes, but yes, I do understand that it's just not exactly
You're
my
gonna have
cup
to
of
deal with Gen
tea.
Alpha.
But
I mean, or you'll be the proverbial parent that never gets along with their
yeah, like
child.
I'll watch other stuff right now that I wouldn't have watched if I didn't have a toddler. Like, I'll sit there and watch Bluey for hours, but like a year ago, I would have been like, dude, you went to see Bluey? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Dude, it's
How
all
high were
about Miss
you?
Rachel. I know how it is in
You
your
want
house.
yes.
Dude, no, no, no. No. We've found this. This is going to become a very inappropriate podcast if we bring Miss Rachel. For the love of God, no. That woman, by the way, she knows what she's doing. That woman knows exactly what she's doing. Sure, the kids love her,
No,
but there's a
that's
reason why every
don't
father on the
don't do
planet is
that
like,
on air. That's
yeah,
a dangerous line to believe in, my friend.
she's wonderful. We're all big fans of Miss Rachel in this household. What I'm saying is we're fans of her for very different reasons. Okay.
What's your
That's,
favorite Miss Rachel song?
Oh my
oh,
God.
I celebrate her entire catalog. Are you serious?
What's
Oh
your
my God.
favorite one? Is
It
it
dep-
put it in,
no,
put it in?
stop. No,
Is that
dude, stop. No, no,
yeah?
come on. No,
Yeah,
no, 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 no.
Dude,
I
just
know
I
it's
feel
your
because she doesn't
favorite.
have an
I
Elmo
feel
voice and
I feel
and ruin the entire appeal
I
of like
feel
that's what she said jokes.
I will say this again. I feel bad saying this because, like, again, we make a little jokes, but I actually do respect her a lot for what she's doing, and I appreciate what she does. The inappropriate humor is whatever,
I read an
but like,
article that
she is
like not
awesome.
only was she sort of in this big probably news interview moment, but like wasn't she approached to be hired or is going to get hired
I
by
think
some.
I'm not sure. I think that what I heard, and I heard this a second ago, was that she was approached by somebody and she turned it down because she wanted to keep doing her own thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Probably a smart move.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with
yeah,
you because if she has
yeah.
millions of viewers on like all her videos through YouTube,
Mhm.
she's already banking awesome money.
Yeah, and she's doing all, and like she's like, why would she change it? She's
Yeah,
beloved.
she
Why
well,
would
and she
she?
could
Yeah,
command such a I think I think her income would rival actors in like, you know, in other words like a I don't know, Nickelodeon or some kind of like Disney young person show. They don't command that kind of salary.
well, that one guy does that really weird one. What's the name of the guy with the glasses and the orange outfit? Um, um,
No clue.
I don't know his name, but he has like a criminal record because for like he like was arrested a long time ago for like publicly urinating on somebody or something. His name is like Blippy or something like that. Is it
Oh, I
Blippy? It might
don't
be
even know.
Blippy. Yeah, it's this really annoying guy. I can't stand him. I don't care. That I will admit
For all the
on record.
cross-generational understanding,
I will not
I do not am
I will
around for
not
the
let my
Gen
child
Alpha.
watch. Yeah, I will not let my child watch Blippi. That guy, like we are just one news cycle away from them finding like bodies in his backyard. Like
Mm.
that guy's creepy. He
I
really,
had
really horrible.
problems with my kids watching Markiplier, that guy, whatever. Couldn't
That's
stand
not for
his like
kids.
fucking announcer voice.
That's not for kids.
No, I know, but they were teens, young
Oh
teen,
yeah, for
like
teens.
the
Yeah, for teens.
11, the 10, 11, 12 zone. I was like, maybe
I
not.
have a weird thing with Markiplier. Like I don't like him, and I never really did. I found him always really annoying. But
Yeah,
then a couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember, he did that YouTube series, like a choose your own adventure YouTube series. Did you ever watch this?
no.
No,
this was
I
really
don't
I
cool.
think I
built my
even
bias
heard that
early,
one.
and then I never looked back.
Okay, so did I until somebody I was in somebody and somebody was like talking it up, and basically what he did is he made a choose your adventure YouTube series, and you can find it. It's basically has to do with like a heist, like a museum heist, I think. And basically, it's a bunch of like each video is like between like 2 and let's say 5 minutes long. And at the end of each video, you get like those YouTube cards, like where do you want to like what's the next thing you want to do? Do you want to go like do you want to escape through like the sewers, or you do want to do do you want to
That's
do that?
actually pretty
And you
cool
post
if
a
he
video,
put that
dude.
together. The
It
amount of
is.
production work to make that happen is awesome.
And I
Yeah.
will say the stories branch out in fucking amazing ways. I don't want to spoil it because I'm serious. Find this and try to
No,
watch a few of the
kudos to
branches.
him. Like,
It was phenomenal.
I
Yeah,
can
it
still
goes into
respect
like
him. Like, I know he's not an asshole
yeah,
content creator. I just didn't
yeah.
like it.
No,
Like,
it was an awesome experiment, and each one of those small videos that's, a different path that you take through the story has like millions and millions of views. It
dude,
was brilliant. And
oh, that's
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of like rewatchability.
Hmm.
And it was funny, like it was well written. He actually was pretty good in it, surprisingly enough. And yeah, the story goes nuts. Like it goes from like really simple thing to, like I said, a heist to like aliens and shit. It's really good. If you can
Hmm.
find it, I highly recommend it. It's really cool. And that's my story. But everything else he
Well,
does is
my
garbage.
watching viewing time is generally limited. I did finally catch up on Loki, um, and
Okay, all right, let's see.
Ahsoka, and then for me personally, I know you two don't watch this, but Bleach, the Thousand Year War or whatever was like I
Want
watched
to?
all the original Bleach anime, so
I want to
that
see
was
Bleach
something
at
I
some point.
wanted to see.
Bleach is something I want to get to at some point. But I have a lot of anime I haven't kept. Here's a question:
Yeah,
is the last Airbender technically anime, like the animated series? Was it anime or not? Because it's not made.
it wasn't me.
It's a Western
I don't think it was.
animation, right?
Yeah, I
It's
don't
about
know the
Eastern
answer,
characters.
so I can't. Yeah, I can't answer with expertise knowledge without doing a Google search right in front of me. But
Because
I
I
don't
don't
think it
think it
was.
is. I don't think it's
I don't think it
technically
was.
anime.
Yeah, but
I'd
I
start.
have like really high hopes that Netflix does it right in the trailer that just came out. Looked
Looks
amazing. I
good.
was actually really
Yeah,
excited.
that does look good. Yeah, but
That was
anyway,
such a
but
good, good story, even if it's teen angst
that's what I
again.
keep hearing. I heard. Well, that's the thing. I heard that is actually it's interesting angst, but it does get into pretty serious things. And I've
Oh,
heard nothing but
yeah.
praise for Avatar, and then the Korra show was supposed to be really really great.
Korra was awesome. But not as like epic as The Last Airbender. The
Hmm.
finale sequence of a bunch of episodes was unbelievable. I mean,
That's what I keep hearing.
you're talking about a show, an anime, well, a cartoon for
Google says
kids.
it's not an anime.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you,
I
Jared.
don't
Yeah,
believe it is. It's not even really anime drawn, quite frankly.
it's not right. That's why. Yeah,
But the amount of like spiritual and moral sort of like um existential crisis moments for the actual kid that is the avatar towards the end of the plot is really amazing.
yeah.
And
I
there's a
really need to
really
watch it.
cool sort of sequence where he's like, I don't want to destroy my enemy. I don't want to annihilate the bad guy. I want to like, save his soul kind of moment. And it really gets into like spiritual icons, and there's like one moment where he's talking to like this giant spirit turtle and blah 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 and like a whole bunch of cool stuff, and it's very interesting because it wasn't an Americanized um revenge, get him back, kill him. If they did this, they were evil people and they must be destroyed. It actually had a message that was like more sort of profound, and like there aren't whatever. It was actually really
Yeah,
cool the way they finished that entire series.
yeah. I definitely need to watch it. But backtracking a little bit, you did say you finally finished Loki. Oh
Hmm.
my!
Oh my
So we can
God!
actually.
Quite frankly, the most excited I've ever been for any MCU since the the two-part Avengers finale, the war.
Endgame.
Yeah,
Oh
Endgame.
yeah,
Like that
yeah.
was really cool to watch the Endgame like epic nature of the battle. But that's more of that is the Americanized all.
Right.
epic battle shit.
Mm.
The MCU is way, I mean, Loki was way more awesome science slash weird time-based philosophical crazy shit. And that finale blew my mind that they
Yeah,
and
that's
I
pretty
thought that
cool
was
too.
now I'm
amazing.
really
Yeah,
fucking curious to know if it's canon that Loki is basically becoming the Tree of Life, which is
Yes.
Norse
Nordic.
lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
In
Do you know
Norse
how to
lore,
pronounce that?
that
But
I
how do
don't
you
know how to
pronounce that?
pronounce that.
It's a really
Never
Yggdrasil.
it's really hard. Yeah.
It's
Oh, there you go.
Yggdrasil.
There you
Like
go.
I've
Yeah, thank
never
you.
had any desire to get a
Okay.
tattoo, but I think if I did, I would get that.
Idrisil,
Yggdrasil.
like
Yggdrasil. Yeah. Yep.
so it's like Idris Elba, but Idrisil.
Yeah,
It
yes,
was so
similar to that.
fucking awesome that
So,
they gave a
so
nod to
like so like if
true.
Idris Elba is sick, you would say Idrisil.
Yeah.
Is that correct pronunciation? Okay. I want to be respectful,
Oh,
so
but wait, Jerry, what's the there's another
Nivel,
Norse,
yeah,
like there's a board game about it,
yeah,
right? Like there's a board game of that.
Nvidia, yeah, I can't say it now. I can't say, but it's
But the
yes,
Tree
it's
of
like
Life is the Y one, and the other one is the
yes,
N one.
yeah,
But
that
what
was
is the N
the
one?
forge.
A
That was
plane?
the
Oh, it's a
forge.
forge. I'm
okay.
grossly ignorant on Norse mythology. My son actually really loves that stuff. He could probably comment very definitively. But like
So get him on the podcast.
I really want to get into. I'm actually unable to communicate this with uh my wife. I don't think she gets the philosophical psychological dimension that I view this at. Like she thought it was epic also, but for different cool awesomeness reasons. And I want to get into like a really deep meaning a conversation about the meaning behind the Loki series. And I think my sister is like itching to have this conversation. But like
Okay, so get all these people on the podcast, and then we can all scream at each other.
no. Okay. So something I really want to work my head around and talk about
Damn it.
is when he's time slipping and he gets to the part where he sees he who remains in his like throne room, the like at the end of time he's in that like broken office structure with his desk, talking about
Hmm.
he
Yes.
who remains, and then
Hmm.
he's having that conversation and they're like um, oh, this isn't the first time we're having this conversation. I see the time slips, right? And then Loki's like, aha, but I have already experienced more. And like they keep doing this rhetoric that's sort of so what's happening is when you're in that room, you see the circle of timeline in the background, the like CGI graphic of the timelines, because remember that's supposed to be
Yes.
sort of outside of time, and you have to remember this is like you're not in reality anymore. Like all of Loki, it's like the power stones don't work. This is like something that's not in reality, right?
Right.
So there's these
Okay.
people interacting, and what was constantly funny to me, by the way, was we're running out of time. We can't like prevent the explosion of the loom, yeah, the loom falling apart or critical mass, right? So he's having this conversation. This is very MCU and Phase 4 concept that I'm trying to work through in my head, and I'm going to have a hard time articulating this, but he who remains says, if you kill me, the war will happen. All of the me's will get released because I keep them in check. But if you kill me, they'll all start manifesting and
Hmm.
his variants will start destroying everything. He'll war with himself and like the whole universe will fight. Is that what he means by like the war will happen?
No,
I almost feel like there's a different dimension to the war of timelines will happen.
so the way I understood it is
And
that
this
he's
is a
saying.
singular question. There's a big thing I'm trying to get to.
So I have to kind of work my way through it because I have actually been trying to figure that as well. So the way I understood it is that he's basically saying, I have full control, right now I have the TVA and I control the TVA, and instead of those three weird lizard people or whatever that they think are being controlled, everything is actually coming from me. I control everything. Everything gets passed down from me. Because he even says like everything that happens was pre-written by me. So he's saying is through the TVA, he's controlling which branches get trimmed, and basically just managing time and all these different realities to make sure that the other Kangs, to make sure that the other variants of him do not become Kangs. So he
No, hold
basically
on.
gets to
Wait.
decide.
No,
Hold
no,
on,
no,
hold
no,
on,
no,
let me
no. Yeah, go ahead, finish.
so he's basically keeping them in check, right? So right. So like so characters like Victor Timely
That's a good
um
point.
can never become like that Kang that can then rise up against him and or against other Kangs and have this giant war. He's saying if you kill me, you don't know how to do what I do. So if you kill me, you won't be able to keep control of all these branches, and all these new Kangs will come to be, and then there's going to be this huge war that's going to destroy everything. That's the way I understand. That's the
Yeah,
way I
So,
understood
I
it.
okay,
agree
I
with that.
agree
But
with
then he's
you.
saying, but
Yeah.
he's also saying, but if you let me live, then then what happens is eventually there's going to be so many branches or so many different realities that the loom basically resets. It destroys all of them, and then only saving the sacred timeline, which means people by destroying these other branches, he's basically saying I eliminate free choice completely. Like he's taking because the branches are for when people make various decisions. If there's only one sacred timeline, that means there's only one decision that can drive the one. That's the one timeline that will always survive. So he's taking away like free choice and free will, and he's basically telling them like, if you live, yes, I get to basically write and say what happens. I will dictate everything
Wait,
that
now,
happens
okay,
forever.
so I
Mhm.
wanna,
But
so I wanna let you finish, but there's a pin I need to put in that because I don't
no,
think
go ahead. I
that's
was I
the
was I was kind of wrapping up
interpretation.
anyway.
Okay, he's not. He explains in the show that their existence dies without him, and it's not to. He's not trimming
Well, he doesn't
only
explain
his Kang
how.
variants.
He's not saying
They
how. He just says there'll be this war that'll end everything, but you don't know what that means, and you
yes,
also
that's
don't know if he's telling the truth. He could just be basically lying to not because he thinks that that threatens his power. So that's
yeah,
what I think Loki was betting on.
yeah. I think so. From He Who Remains perspective, if all of his own variants essentially they all learn how to manipulate time and then they destroy everything because like they all just war and it takes out everything. So what he is the one king variant that enforces the what is it called, the
Sacred
sacred
timeline.
timeline,
Mhm.
and it's whatever it is, and they prune everything that falls outside of, let's just call it, boundaries. You see how they have that like computer graphic of like the two lines and
Yeah, yeah.
all of the
Hmm.
things are above the line. They
Right,
prune those and they just keep everything in their tiny little tunnel. Now in
right.
terms of free will and all that shit, yes, that's like a moral or philosophical discussion, which is actually kind of really poignant because if you get into any kind of philosophical structures, even like recent physicists are saying shit like, well, we don't actually technically have free will, or I should say neuroscientists, but don't let me digress
Mhm.
there. Um, you have basically He Who Remains saying, I'm the only Kang that can keep all the Kangs in check because I figured it
Mhm.
out, and I'm
Right.
gonna prune all this stuff and not let it get out of control. But what he's saying is, if you kill me, that remember in season one, he actually doesn't give a shit if anybody kills him. He's like,
No, he does.
he
No, no,
never
he
fights
does.
back.
No, he does. He addresses that in the second season. He remember when when in one of the things when they're having a conversation, he even says he's like, You think I would actually just let her kill me?
He was
Are
fucking
you are
lying.
you are you no, he says that.
I
He's
don't even no. I
he
know he says that. I don't think that has no impact. Like, why would every scene you see Loki trying to stop her from killing him.
right.
So,
He
but
even
he
says
just
he's
lets
like,
it
Why don't you?
happen.
Yes, but he always says he's like, why don't you ever try to stop her? And that's when they have that conversation, and that's the part that I didn't understand. But he does say that he explains why he lets it happen, and then he says And then he actually even says, he's like, what you, he says literally the phrase, you
Do you think
actually
I would
think I
really
would
let
just
her?
let her, do you think I would let her actually just kill me? Because he's saying that's not what's happening. They're playing a loop over and over and over again because they exist outside of time. She, whatever she acts out by killing him doesn't actually kill him because then the thing just resets and he's right back to where he started because he's at the end of time. He's already outside the other branches and everything else. So her killing him
His
doesn't matter.
excuse is he'll reincarnate in a timeline, and
Right.
he knows that there'll be a variant eventually like him that will come and retain order. So he doesn't
Which is why
care if
he
he
has
actually dies.
right,
In
which is
fact, he
why he
kind
has
of wants to
triggers.
die.
That's why he has those triggers to drop the book off to himself to make sure that a variant of him reaches that throne again.
Yeah, and he says, and
At
he
least I think that's
describes
what.
the loom as a failsafe. But
Yeah.
basically, the loom will always blow up, no matter what. The loom
I
as a
think
failsafe
so.
is like if they stop pruning,
So
it will blow up
right,
and destroy,
And prune everything.
prune
right. So
everything
that's
that
the part
has to
I
do with
didn't.
him.
Right, that's the part I didn't understand. So if he's saying he's keeping everything in check to, he's pruning certain timelines, then why does so is he saying, well, you can only prune for so long and then at some point it doesn't matter, it's going to overload no matter what? But then why even bother pruning? Why don't you just constantly keep just the one sacred
No,
timeline
that's the
then?
point. So
That's what I don't
so
understand.
the
That's what I
TVA
don't get.
exists to prune
So the
variants
movie could
outside of the
happen.
limits.
Nice.
No, no, but the TVA exists, which is his creation, to prune timelines um that are out of bounds, right? And the loom, if it ever gets overloaded because they stop pruning, then it will blow up and erase. It'll auto prune,
Oh, so that's why it's a failsafe. So the loom won't necessarily blow up,
but it auto
but
prunes like a huge amount more than the
if need be.
TVA is maintaining. Like the sacred
Right.
timeline is the stable zone, which
Right.
he who remains defined because to him his perception is, well, all his variants throughout all the timelines eventually learn this. Let's just call it technology because that's kind of
Mhm.
the he's like a an Iron Man where he's just a super genius, right? Like so his super genius is to understand time, right? So whatever, he's got this
Well,
technology. It's
it's
not
an
a
interesting
superpower. He just knows how to manipulate physics.
Does he? Oh, but that's where it gets even more confusing. Does he though, or is actually Obi the one? So there's actually some theory that Obi is supposed to be a Kang variant because think about it, all his knowledge came from Obi.
Well, they looped that. They created which came first, the chicken or the egg situation with the
Right.
two of
So it's an
them.
interesting. So
Remember
it's
when
at one
Loki
point,
introduced him? You both wrote it. He does that moment in the
right? So
in
it's
that
that weird
episode.
paradox. Oh, I
Yeah,
don't know if paradox is the right
it
word,
is
but
a
basically,
no. It is a
yes.
paradox. It's
Okay. Yeah.
100% meant to be a
Okay.
paradox in my mind.
Right.
But here's the cool. I really want to get to this because it's very philosophical. The Loki, he chooses to directly destroy the loom before it can, like, let's say, implode and destroy everything. So when he does that, when in the scene where he rips it apart and then
Hmm.
he manifests his god armor to present in my mind that's like how he resists the temporal energy, right?
Well, he's a
He
god.
blows it up and all the timelines just like, think of it this way. He who remains tries to focus what he calls a sacred timeline, because he kind of, his opinion is he doesn't like the war or the death, or maybe the reality is all the timelines will die, but it's like a silly thing to say in the first place because like he made the loom. So like he created the thing that will destroy everything, technically, like
Yes.
literally.
Right.
But without the loom, everything would be fine. He isn't the person. He's not like, let's say, the source god or the one god or he's not a god. He's not like the thing that created the realities. They just
Right.
exist, right? So he goes and finds out, like in his Mr. Timely sequence when it's like the
Mhm.
60s and he's doing his Chicago presentation, and he's kind of like um a Tesla type, Nikola Tesla type of persona,
Right.
where he's like ahead of his time, but the technology is not enough to pull the pieces together. So technically, it doesn't have all the answers, but he starts talking about he can. when you listen to him talk from a physics standpoint, he's talking about like high-end physics, and he can, let's say, generate power from nothing. Let's just
Hmm.
make I'm just going to throw that in there. He's coming up with this like crazy claim, and he's really a con artist at the time because the technology doesn't exist, and they do this thing where they, if you can think it, it's possible, but like you're just not there yet, kind of like genius, almost Albert Einstein type of thinking, like Nikola Tesla. And then
Okay.
what's happening is they create this sort of situation where, why? Let me ask you this. The original season one is all about pruning timelines, but they have a special unit that specifically looks for the Lokis because he's such a god of chaos and god of mischief that he's got
That
variants all
was
over the fucking world,
that was only
everywhere.
specific. That just happened. That was a specific thing. It wasn't
No, I think there's a
tied
special
into
Loki unit. Like, and the whole thing about Mobius is he's like
the
a
reason.
Loki specialist.
The reason they started going after Loki was because of the whole Sylvie thing. Because a Loki variant was killing a whole bunch of them, and was pruning. I forget if she was actually pruning, but it was
Like
basically
coming
because of
after
Sylvie.
them to prune
Yeah, Sylvie.
the TVA agents.
Yes, Sylvie was outside of her timeline. She was a variant that managed to steal their devices and was now jumping from branch to branch to branch and changing things up, and that's a loss of control. So that's why they decided to go after the Loki variants because
But
they
then you
didn't even
have
know
the
who she.
interaction
They
between
didn't even know who
Mobius.
she.
Yeah,
They didn't know who she. They didn't know who it was because he even bring when they brought him in, they even said like, "We just caught you because you're a variant, but we are actually looking for a specific Loki variant, and you're going to help us find that one specific." One, but they didn't know who Sylvie was. Remember when they
yeah.
first found her,
That's the
they were
Mobius
all
Loki
yeah,
interaction the first time around in season one. That Mobius is leveraging that. Oh, I found a Loki. You're gonna help me find the other Loki.
right. So that's the only reason they had a Loki unit is because a Loki variant was killing their agents.
But here's my point. They went out of their
Wow.
way in in the post when Loki does the Tree of Life thing and the TVA exists again. The new thing that Mobius is focused on are the He Who Remains Kang variants.
Right.
Because
Okay,
what's happening is, to me, when
he's
even visually,
multitasking.
what?
He
No,
multitasking.
like that's the
No,
new
no, oh my
purpose of the
God.
TVA.
No, this has
The whole
super significance. It is at the core meaning behind the entire series, and it has to
Okay,
do with Phase Four. The
I
the
think you lost me. So what is the hold on? What do you? So
oh,
what exactly are you asking?
okay, in the first series, I think the Loki character has significance because of who he is as Guardian, like God level, let's say, influence or power or capabilities, right? But like the whole way they emphasize um what is it, grand purpose or not
Glorious
divine purpose,
purpose.
glorious
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 purpose.
purpose,
purpose.
right? It's kind of like his grandiosing instead of the Thor grandiosing. Like you go through the like
Right.
the Thor experience, but now this is the Loki experience, and he's like basically what does he do at the end? He destroys the loom. You see all of the dead timelines, which become like
Hmm.
filaments that he can touch, which is a little
Right.
strange, but they went there with that. Um, he's out
Well,
there in the
he's
middle of this.
transcending everything.
Yeah, so he,
He's transcending time.
yes, because he already exists out of time. He destroys the loom, and what does he do? He gathers all of it and looms it through a different perspective, a Loki perspective. But when you
Hmm.
there's a moment where the scene is like they're all watching Loki walk out and do all the, and he blows it up, and now it's this the black threads,
Hmm.
and he starts and grabbing them, and then there's a sequence when they all disappear into that like warped, green sort of like portal thing, and you see that portal in one of the Loki movies where like people are up towards this ledge and they're walking through to Valheim or whatever it is. Like they see through the portal. I might be like missing misrepresenting where I'm seeing this image, but like there's a scene in somewhere in the MCU where um there's a portal to, I believe, isn't Valheim where like Odin dies and goes to, and
Yeah,
like all the
that's
glowing motes and
yeah,
all that stuff, right? So for
that's
some
the death.
I think it was like a green version of that portal where it's like, oh, that's like the the Norse heaven, right? And somehow I could be totally wrong, but it reminded me of that, right? So
I
here's
mean,
this portal
it
thing,
might have been
and he grabs,
symbolic of him
but he
making a
grabs all the timelines,
sacrifice.
but they disappear when Mobius and the other team are in that like building and they're looking out the windows. Loki's doing his shit, and then eventually it all just goes zoop, and he's like, he keeps looking back, and it's that tense emotional moment and between Sylvie and Loki, and he's like, I'm going to be the god I need to be. And that's
No,
like
I'm going to
the
be the
tree of,
god you. Okay.
yeah,
Well, either
yeah.
way. Well, that was just a metaphor that he was going to that throne room. He was
No, but
taking
picture the
because that's where
visuals. But they
I,
decided to do visuals this way. When you see the tree of life visual of the sacred tree of life, it's like he's at the center of the tree and above him is that like purple foliage, but it like
mhm,
the timelines sort of break into cloud like motes, and it's sort of like still a big the motes sort of blend with the root structure motes. So you have these
right.
timelines that are sort of like yanked out of um, a circular ring into this toroidal type of tree of life. In other words, there's roots that go up through the center, and then the branches are up at the top, and you kind of see shadowy, broken edges, like frayed edges of the timelines, sort of smoke out to the edges and meet up with the root smoked edges. It's a basically the ring of time of the sacred timeline inverted into a toroidal shape, like a tokamak. Those
Right, but
pictures of
if there's,
fusion.
I guess everything's supposed to be a loop. So if there are
But
all
it
these
but he
branches,
inverted, and
all these
so
branches become all these roots. It's
so.
it's that kind of loop.
But I yes, but what
See,
Loki did,
I didn't see it as a loop. I see what you're
it's not
saying,
a
but I
loop, it's an
don't agree.
inversion. He who remains, when you see that graphic, the sacred timeline is a big circle around the whole building. It's a circle.
Hmm.
It's just a solid fucking circle. The timeline must repeat or something, and it has pretty huge philosophical implications that the timeline just keeps circling around itself, starting and ending at the same place. Like,
It's
what's the
it's the
name of the
same
snake that
thing
eats
like
its
the
own
Wheel of
tails? I think they
Time,
even what?
Ouroboros,
Yeah, right. It's
Ouroboros.
Ouroboros. Right. They're using all these symbols in this thing, and when Loki forms the Tree of Life, it's the invoice,
An
in
invert.
not
Inverse.
invoice, inverse of a ring is a toroid. It's the Tree of Life, but three-dimensional. Like we're just looking at a
Okay.
picture of Tree of Life, but you're looking into the toroidal
Right, right,
space,
right.
and the
Okay.
ring
I,
used to
I
be there, but now he's replaced it with a different, let's say, infinite sacred timeline. So
Okay.
so now Loki is the loom and also he who remains. He literally has to sit there for eternity to hold the
Well,
time
yes,
together, and he's happy
that's
about
a
it.
that's
Sucks
a
to be him.
sacrifice.
I
Well,
don't
he
know
doesn't.
if
I
he's
don't think he's
that happy about
happy. Yeah, I think he's. I
No, he
think he's not happy
smiles.
at
He
all.
smirks a smile at the end sequence when he's just sitting there in
it.
It's
his
a
throne.
sad. It's a
Yeah,
sad.
that's
It's
That was the
but
I
point.
he's like
here's my throne and my glorious
Yeah, that was the whole
purpose.
point. He
it
finally
is,
ascended
but
to.
also I
He
beat you,
ascended
you
to a
fucker.
throne.
It's a little bit I beat
No,
you, you fucker.
a little bit. I think that's
No,
him figuring out that's the only way that they could stop him, and he
yeah,
realized that his purpose is basically this ultimate sacrifice. So he finally got his throne, but
Sure.
that's what makes it so awesome. He's always wanted the throne, and he finally got it, and
Yeah.
it's this eternal punishment, basically. But that is
Well,
his
but
purpose.
but he
That is
doesn't see that
literally
way.
his.
He accepts it because to him it was his glorious purpose. I will be
I
an
I don't
immortal.
think
Right.
he's happy
Yeah, he
about
accepts it,
it.
but
I
he's not
think
happy.
he's
Right.
like, this is the only way, like I can do this. I will do this.
Right.
but it's a little bit of a I
I
have to
I
do
have to
this.
I have to like I get what you're saying. Like I totally understand, and I think those feelings that he
It's
like I think that view of his feelings is actually totally correct. But at the same time, he's trying to make up for all the evil he did. Think about all the scenes where
No,
he's like,
I
well,
"Yeah,
agree
yes,
with
my
that.
exactly.
Yes,
brother,
Yeah.
yeah,
and I
No, no,
did
yeah,
evil
yeah.
things and all this stuff."
Right.
He's trying to
yes,
repent. And this is
I
his
Right.
agree.
eternal
But he's not.
sacrifice to repent is to
But
actually
he's not. Right. But
become
he's not
the tree
happy
of
about
life.
it. He understands that's his
Happy
purpose.
is a yeah. Um,
Con-
I think
Don't
Content,
forget.
resigned
Don't
to.
forget that one of the things that he always talks about, one of the things that he doesn't want is he keeps repeating the statement saying he doesn't want to be alone. He's like, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be by myself. I can't be alone. He winds up alone. His
but it's
purpose
a
is to
I
be alone forever. And he finally
psychologically I
accepts
think it's
the
a
fact.
moment of acceptance of like let's say your
Yes,
fate or your
but
place or whatever.
right, but finding your place isn't necessarily always a happy resolve. And for him,
No,
it's not a happy
psychologically it
resolve.
would be. If you found your place in life, no matter where it is, no matter what you think is a shitty job or deal, if you find your correct place, that's not a moment where I think of as being unhappy. You acceptance literally lets go of
Not
negative
ever.
emotions if we're
If you're
talking about
truly
it that way.
finding if you're truly finding where you belong, it could be a bad thing. Not everybody has a happy purpose. If you're gonna look at it that way, his again, his was not happy.
If
He
your
literally winds up
purpose
alone.
was to fucking be a garbage collector, but you were lived a happy life, then why is that bad?
Okay, what if my purpose was to
Like
die
a dirty
horribly
job or a
of
loneliness.
what if my purpose was to die horribly in a submarine that implodes,
No,
on the way to see the
you're
Titanic?
not
It
fucking
doesn't.
the whole dude.
What I'm saying. Okay, look, what I'm saying is that somebody's
The whole
purpose
point of
doesn't
finding your
necessarily.
purpose would be happy, not you wouldn't be sad finding your purpose. That's such
So
a
you're looking at
ridiculous
this,
concept by definition,
but I,
fundamentally.
I, I think we're looking at this in a different way. You're looking as
I
like
know we are.
everyone's happiness equals finding their purpose. I'm
No.
saying the happiness doesn't play into it at all. Your purpose has nothing to do with happy.
No, your
You may
purpose
expect
is by
you may
definition the
ex-
thing you are happy doing with your life. That's how I'm seeing this.
I'm not
And
your
like
purpose.
so whatever
Then it's not your
what you're
purpose. Then it's your
talking about
choice.
is you're talking about it from a different angle that I don't
Yes.
disagree with necessarily, but I'm just trying to highlight that if you find your fucking purpose in life, you're not going to suffer.
I think we're looking at purpose in a different way. I think a purpose could be a very terrible thing if you're looking at it in the context of the show. And I
You think
think
you're going to live any human's going to live their lives and find a life, not life. And then like accept, "Oh, I'm just going to live a life of drudgery." And that's like their fucking purpose?
yes, absolutely. A life of drudgery could actually be your purpose if you believe in that kind of thing. I don't believe in people having
Dude,
a purpose.
that's a
It's a cool it's a cool sci-fi concept
I
for a
don't want
Marvel show,
anyone who has
but
that belief in life. Like fuck that.
I don't believe in it. No, if you're talking about in real life, I don't believe in purpose at all. I think that's
Of
complete
course, I'm
nonsense. That doesn't make
bringing this to like real life
No, I'm
philosophical
talking about
thinking.
it purely in the context of the show. In real life, no, that's bullshit. You might as well believe in a almighty bearded
Oh,
man in the
you're
sky.
like thinking of
That
it
doesn't
as
no.
the viewer, and it's already from that perspective. It's already the viewer's perspective. You're not trying to empathize with Loki at all. You're
I'm
predefining
sure
that job sucks.
it does suck. He's accepting it, but he's not happy. It goes against everything he ever wanted.
If
Everything
no
he's
no
ever
That
by
thought.
no
wasn't
no
Yeah.
no no
like a
no by
happy
definition
smile.
He's
by
literally when he's
no, you're
walking out
not
to the
happy if you accept something.
when he's walking out to the loom to destroy the loom, he looks back at them and he's basically in tears saying, "I finally understand what I have to do and what I have to be." He's not saying like, "Well, gee golly whiz,
No,
guys, I got it.
he's sad because he's saying
Here I
goodbye
go."
to them. He's like, I have to go
Yes,
do a thing. I know my purpose in life. I won't ever be able to see you again.
yes, he's
Goodbye.
literally saying he's saying goodbye to everyone that has been incredibly important to him and that
Yeah,
has helped shape him, and is
totally.
going to be
Agreed.
forever alone. That
Yes.
is not a happy ending for him at all.
He
Agreed.
realizes
No,
that
but
there's one person in this entire multiverse that can do this, and
Yeah,
that is me in the here and now. And if I
yeah.
don't do this, I'm going to have the guilt of
It's
infinite
not
number
guilt.
of timelines of deaths on my
Agreed.
hands. So
He's
I have
fulfilling.
to do this.
Yes, but I don't think that's like he does it begrudgingly. He says goodbye, it's sad, but he definitely loves, absolutely feels fulfilled by ending up there. His
I
life's
Uh,
glorious
I don't
no,
purpose
know.
I have
was
to
that.
disagree with you.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't agree with that either. I
Only
think
that
he
variant, by
again.
the way.
We all agree. Yes, yes, that is very true. That's what everyone is saying. They're like a Loki is now at the center of
Yeah, one
time,
of
but
them. Yeah,
yeah,
right. And
but I mean,
obviously Sylvie's still around.
Sylvie's a weird one. Sylvia's a Loki variant, but she's supposed to be like a way outside
Yeah,
of the thing.
yeah.
She
It's,
doesn't. I forget.
it,
She's. I don't think she exists in the comic books. There's somebody else that I think they were supposed to, that they thought she was. There's another character. I forget her name. It's like Emerald Queen or something. I don't remember. That's what everyone thought Sylvie was, but Sylvie is as a completely new
they blend,
creation
you
that
know,
doesn't exist in the
MCU's
comics.
like off canon. It's got its own, its own purpose.
Oh yeah, the MCU is its own thing. It
Yeah.
borrows from
Glorious
the comics,
purpose.
yeah,
Cinematic
and that's for
purpose.
everything. It's
But
all
but
the
it
people
but
that
the
do
whole
MCU
thing
projects do their own thing. Like
but it
the
but
Insomniac games, the Spider-Man games, that they have right now are completely, even though they're technically owned by Sony, who's doing the whole thing with the MCU. The Insomniac games have nothing to do with what's going on in the
yeah,
comics or the MCU. Their
yeah.
Spider-Man stories completely went off the rails in
No,
their own
yeah, of
direction.
course they did. Yeah. They had writers come in and, "Oh, what if we do, and
Oh yeah, it's completely
but
different.
but there's more angles to this Loki shit that has implications to the whole MCU. So what I started so back to like the Kang conversation. You have Loki
The
like, "You're not going to
conversation.
beat me. I will figure out
Oh
how to beat
god.
you." And it what?
Yeah. He made a pun. Don't worry about it. Just
Yeah, I'm going to skip B it and agree
yeah.
with you.
This is Jerry's purpose in life, and it makes everyone else sad. It's the opposite of
Y-
Loki.
Yeah, yeah.
He's having a great time, and we are the Lokis.
Yeah,
Our purpose is
right.
to sit here and listen to Jerry's bullshit.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yep, we suffer.
Yeah.
So what I can't get wrap my head around is because I see that Loki as winning that bout. Because what he's saying, what happens
Ah,
is to me
you're
is
making it
he creates
so
an no, he
two-dimensional.
maintains the sacred timeline.
There's no like happy, sad win loss.
No,
I feel
no,
like you're
let's get off the Loki's happy or sad. He replaces He Who Remains
yes,
as the guardian at the end, as the person. He becomes essentially the new He Who Remains, but in a Loki sacred timeline, not a He Who Remains sacred timeline. So what happens is he takes the place. You have um, a narcissistic, like egotistical dude saying, "I made this thing, and it's like mega energy, and it gave me all this power, but now I have to sit at the top of the throne, or else all my variants will destroy the universe and there won't be a universe," right? So he's like,
well. That's his.
this has to
Keep in mind
exist or all existence goes away. Loki says,
that's his
fuck you.
explanation. That's his
Yeah,
explanation. Keep in mind. That's
yeah.
just what he says.
No, but here's the thing, right? So it goes back to how I'm claiming that they had like the special Loki ops in the TVA originally. And now when the TVA handbook 2.0, by the way,
Mhm.
2.0, when the new orange
Yes.
version comes out,
Yeah,
is the Loki's version of being He Who Remains in the new
right,
timeline, which actually replaces the entire MCU. Follow along with me.
right.
The timeline still exists, but it's a Loki run timeline instead a sacred timeline instead of a He Who Remains sacred timeline. And Loki was the variant that was rampant
Right.
originally, and now He Who Remains is the variant that's rampant. And what's going to happen is that's why there's going to be Kang wars, because we already know there's going to be Avengers, whatever Kang wars. Like the Kang War canon is absolutely what Phase 4 is all about. He's the epic villain.
Uh, Before you go into, let me just stop that. It was going to be until the whole thing with
Yeah, I
the
know. I
actor.
know all that shit.
No,
I
Right, so
know.
they're thinking of pivoting to the Doctor Doom story instead, just so you know.
Sure, but Doctor Doom
It may
is
not happen.
speculated to be a Kang variant anyway, actually,
Yeah,
in
they're not gonna
canon.
pull that off. They would I heard I saw that, but I don't think that's gonna be the path they're
No,
taking.
I remember reading articles
But
when
maybe.
like Kang was first introduced, and like, oh shit, Kang, and people, the fan verse was like, oh, and Kang, and even in this one episode, it was presumed Doctor Doom is a Kang variant, but doesn't come off that way, and blah blah blah.
They
So they could easily pivot to a Doctor Doom and a different actor, but still ride the Kang, let's
yeah, they
say,
could.
epic nature of it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
Kang
they
was an
could.
epic villain.
Right.
So if they switch to Doctor Doom or not, it's still a Kang variant in terms of the Loki conversation. So in my point, they did this whole inversion where Kang has this like loom, that technological loom that's like creating the sacred timeline, pruning and making sure all the other Kangs are in check and everyone can live peacefully. And then what does Loki do? He destroys the ring timeline and creates a tree, what I call a toroidal type of timeline, which is the inverse. And so now Loki isn't the fucking rogue agent that's causing hassles with the sacred timeline, because he's the dude in charge.
Right,
it's it's the
but
Kang variants now, that if they don't special, like their special forces or special agent or special consideration to look, like now Mobius is looking out for the Kang agents. Like he's talking about, yeah, we're tracking
wait, but hold on.
variants of Kang
But
all
when
over the place.
Kang was technically on the throne, he was looking out for he was looking to curb the Kangs. So
Yes,
technically, if Loki's on top, wouldn't they be then looking out for Loki's instead of Kangs?
it's a
And
good
by the way,
point, but that's,
which leads to my next
I don't.
question is the way he replaced He Who Remains is he made sure that that book was never delivered to that young boy, so he
Yes,
could never deal technology. So my question to that is then, in addition to what I just said about the Loki's running rampant, is
it'll be a Kang that
why?
has to drop the book.
But what I'm
Think
saying,
about
right?
it.
It's what
Think about it.
right? No, no, no.
It
Hold on.
wasn't a
That's what I'm saying.
Kang
How
that
were
gave
there?
it to the Timely Kang. It was a Loki crew that gave it to the Timely Kang to
It
counter
wasn't.
Kang.
Wait. It wasn't Loki. It was Reingold, whatever she was. Who
Yeah, but she's a rogue
Renslayer.
agent.
Renslayer,
Yeah,
right?
Renslayer.
Right. So my question is, how are they going to explain how any of the Kang variants come to be? Because now that pivotal moment where he gets the book no longer happens. So
No,
the whole point.
okay.
So my
That's
question.
just Mr. Timely variant. That's just one of the Kang variants. The
No,
one
no,
that count.
no. That's the event that triggers. That's the event that puts.
Incorrect.
No, I disagree. No, no. They made that very clear. He has to get that book, and then that's where he branches out into the
No, but
different
there's the
versions to become Kang.
Ouroboros. You're forgetting the Ouroboros link. Ouroboros and Mr. Timely co-jointly created. There's some kind of there. This is the paradox, right?
But
It's
he
a
still
loop,
has to
because who
get
came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
right. But the point is that moment still has to happen. The moment where the boy gets the manual still has to happen, and
No,
then he
no, no,
becomes
no. Think about the Loki season. He doesn't get it until they go back to who what's the name of that rogue woman that's like fighting against the Loki team? What's her name?
Renslayer.
Yeah,
Renslayer.
Renslayer.
Renslayer?
Renslayer
Yeah.
is the one. It's Renslayer and the AI that decide to do that. Actually, it's the AI's plan based on
It's not the
Kang.
AI. She's getting orders from the He Who Remains. Who Remains
Yeah,
is
you're
working
not
together
wrong. Yes,
with
He
Miss
Who
Minute.
Remains tells the AI the last chance plan is to get Renslayer to go give the book
Right.
to Mr. Timely, which uh,
Not to
inevitably
Mr.
actually
Timely.
destroys
Not
Kang.
to Mr. Timely. You got to realize at that point that is again where the branches are. He's not timely at that point. That was always the character, whatever his name is. Let's say his name was Bob. He was Bob until he gets this manual, and at that point, his life, based on the decisions that he makes, branches out into all these different possibilities, but in all of them he becomes Kang because he has access to this manual which has exposed him to technology that is way ahead of like
Yeah, but
his
what's
like his
happening
time.
is
Without that
Renslayer
book,
does it.
he will never become a Kang. There'll be different variants of that little kid, but they can't become a Kang anymore. So my
No, but
question is,
you're
how
forgetting the
how
part
did
where the AI is like wants to usurp Kang by like creating the
that's
Kang and then actually
they
taking
try,
over and preventing and putting.
but that fails. But that
Well,
fails. They
it
stop
does
her.
because the AI knew all along and plays the video of how Kang kills her. Or
Right.
no, she leaves and he
Renslayer.
does the thing. Yeah, Renslayer.
He erases her mind.
Yes. So
Yes.
like the
And keep in
AI
mind,
is like,
Renslayer, they
I
never
think
show
this
her actually
time is
dying.
the AI is also sort of like Miss Minutes is talking about how I was always the controlled AI. It's funny, that's actually very similar to Founders, by the way.
Okay, well, I haven't
Foundations
seen it. I
Foundations,
haven't
by
seen
the
it
way.
yet.
But anyway, um a lot of this is loop logic. Like you're gonna find yourself back at the beginning again. That's why I think of this as more of an inversion, not an actual counter to the loop. In other words, everything you want to talk about the Kang loop is Mr. Timely has to get a book from him, essentially himself in the future, or an Ouroboros in the future, but the Ouroboros learned it from the Kang. So you already have a paradox.
Well, they also
So
say that again. There's a theory that Ouroboros is a Kang variant.
sure, but so is Renslayer. Renslayer, one whatever her name
No,
is.
no,
Yeah,
Renslayer's
kind
not a
of.
Kang.
No, kind of
No,
because
no.
in the Loki variant, she finds the freaking thing on this floating island thing, the
Wait,
glowing old
what?
TVA version in the rubble.
They show the thing where he recruits Renslayer. He's the one who gets
No,
her.
she wakes up sitting on like a plains, and then there's the scene where a purple light shines at her,
Oh,
which
yeah.
by the way, I think it has to do with Doctor
It
Strange at the after
no, no,
credit
no, no,
scene
no, no,
when
no, no, no.
some
That's
people come
dude,
that
dude.
woman comes to get him.
No, no, stop. No, no, don't. She winds up in that place where Loki wound up at the end of season one. That has that guardian dog thing in the
Eliath.
sky. Alioth.
Eliath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Alioth coming for her.
That
R-
glows purple.
yes, that's
Yes.
Oh,
Alioth.
I'll have
Yes.
to see.
Remember,
Okay, I forgot that
remember
part.
at the end of season one, they pruned Loki. He actually wanted to get. They pruned themselves, so they wind up in this whatever place. I don't
Yeah,
forget what it was.
I think they called it the
Whereas
Void Planet or something.
right, that's what they're saying. They're like, where does everyone go after they get pruned? They wind up in this reality, and then this gigantic guardian named Eliath appears and basically devours them, and then they're technically gone for real, supposedly. So the last thing you see is her waking up in that plane, in that void, and that purple light is Eliath coming for her, but you never see her die, so you don't actually know what happens to her at that point. And keep in mind, she now knows everything about Kang.
But on the ground,
So
she rubs the dirt, and it's that
the TVA, the TVA,
pivotal
yeah,
of all time, like whatever sigil, and she's rubbing it, and
yeah.
it's glowing. So it's the whatever that place that you
I don't
guys
think it
are.
was
No,
glowing. I think
that's
it was just reflections
yeah, it
of
was yeah.
Eliath.
It was supposed to be a reference to I
Okay,
think it was supposed to be where the other Loki variants were underground, remember? There was a whole like I think that's what that was.
it could
Um
be, and
yeah.
ignorance to comic book canon and all
It has
the like stories
nothing to do
that
with
have been
comics.
told. Okay, so, but
Well,
like.
there's references to it, but yeah, but no, but that is definitely where she winds up at the end. That light was very much definitely alive. You can even hear the sound that he makes when he
But
comes
here's
for
like
her.
the big core conclusion. I think the whole point that like the Kang Wars are coming is because Loki did his thing, broke the loom, and now all the Kangs are coming through. Like if you even connect the dots with Quantum Verse, Ant-Man, what the fuck was that called?
But the mania, and that actually, so my next
Quantumania.
I'm glad you brought
Yes.
that up because I have a question about that as well. So, really quick, if he who remains, his whole role was, I'm sorry, his whole plan was to trim these timelines to make sure that these Kang variants don't start this big war and blah blah blah. Then how is it that in Ant-Man Quantumania there's already like hundreds of thousands of these Kang variants?
No,
Wasn't he
no, okay.
stopping them
I
from being created?
here's why I think that makes sense. Loki inverts and creates this inverted sacral. timeline thing that's no longer a ring, but it's the toroid, right? It's inversion. But like, just picture it as it hit the Loki ring. Just
Okay.
call it that. So the sacred timeline is inverted, where Loki being bad guy and good guy, whatever, all over the place, is replaced by Kangs, and Kangs are going to essentially be portrayed as like worse than Loki ever was in terms of villains, because Kang's got all this technology, and it's like we saw in the Ant-Man movie how there's that like giant calling of the and council of all the
Mhm.
Kangs, and it's like
Yeah,
the main Kangs and all the freaking huge audience of Kangs.
that's what I'm referring to. That's why I said
Yeah,
like,
but I think what
where
they're
do
going to
those cans
imply is
come from? If
it's
He Who
because of the
Remains was
inversion that
trimming
Loki
them,
did. It only
so
exists
you're
now.
saying
Yeah,
okay, so you're saying that Ant-Man takes place supposed to take place canonically
after
after
after the
Loki.
Loki event. Yes, technically,
They
I don't
technically speaking, in terms
no,
of
it would
because
have
at
to
one
be.
viewer
point,
observed timeline. Yes, I do
mm,
think
It would
that's.
have to, it would have to be, but I still don't understand how the Kangs are made
yeah,
without again
no,
that kid getting the book though.
I think in what happened was in the sacred timeline, he has or from the sacred timeline, he can kind of control
He
like
only
all these
pulled.
variants.
He didn't take every timeline. He only took a subset.
Right.
No, no, no,
No,
no.
no,
It's
no, no,
no, no,
no,
no,
no.
no,
It's
no,
not
no.
that. Because when they're fighting, he who remains even says he's like, my variants are already out there, but like only I know how to control them.
But
And
he's
without
controlling them
me,
but he's controlling them by trimming the timelines. By right?
Yeah, I
So
mean, you could look at it as he's the supreme
so
killer of
how
all the Kangs.
but that's fine. But at that scene in Ant-Man, you see an entire stadium of them, and it doesn't look like anyone's stopping them. It looks like actually they're gathering an army. It
Well,
looks like
that
the thing that he's afraid of is happening.
yes, because the thing is, you have the He Who Remains guy, but then you have the Kang that goes into the Quantumania world, and he says, "Without me, I was the one that held all the other Kangs from warring." That's the guy. That's not even He Who Remains. That's the Kang in Quantumania.
I don't remember him saying that he kept them from warring.
Yes, he's the
He
one. I
said
have to
they
get back up there. I've been
because
exiled.
they exiled him, right?
Yeah, but why was he exiled? Because he's the one that kept everybody in check.
I think he was exiled because he actually was the most like fucked up like sociopath one. At least that's I don't remember. Honestly, Quantumania was so terrible.
I
I don't
thought
really
he was
remember.
the only one. He was like the linchpin. And when, in my head, when Loki does the inversion of the sacred timeline, it causes all the variants to, um, let's say, not get pruned or not get controlled by He Who Remains Kang. And then
Right.
the one we're all talking about in Quantumania was like somehow related to controlling everything, or like thought he could become the He Who Remains,
I think
or
that was it. I think he was very powerful. I think he was exiled because they all were afraid of him because they thought that he actually could destroy them all and take over. So they all basically ganged up on him and exiled him
I
because
think
of some
that's
of
like
the
a pre He Who
and
Remains,
all
though,
the
is my point.
no, that's not the same one. They've made that clear that the Kang that dies in Ant-Man is not He Who Remains. That is a different variant. They've already said that. They've
I
referenced the two of them
actually,
separately.
yeah, okay, like I believe that actually before I believe the other statement.
The He Who Remains is the Kang from the Sacred Timeline. Every other Kang is a variant.
No, he's not from the sacred timeline. He's
Yes,
at
he is.
he's at the end of time. He doesn't exist in any timeline. That Kang
no,
left.
But
he
I think
wouldn't be from the sacred timeline
oh, I
because
thought I thought that
even
was
when you see when they drop off the book,
yeah.
they drop off the book on the sacred timeline, and that creates the branch timeline because
That's
when
what I
Mobius and
said.
Loki go through to the World's Fair where Victor Timely is, that's a branched timeline.
Hold on.
Yeah,
That's
right.
exactly what I said earlier. That's why I said the book is
Yes,
the
Mr.
book being
Timely
chopped
is
off.
not part of the main Kang cycle.
Exactly right. He's a variant.
You're
That's what I was
but you
trying to
keep
say.
advocating he's the egg that hatches all the Kangs. No, he's
No,
just
no, no, no,
a
no, no, no,
minuscule
no,
Kang that doesn't matter
no.
to anything.
That's no. The one who hatches all the Kangs is that kid. It was always a person, that one kid. He was one individual that was born at that time. That kid that you see is
Okay,
not the one necessarily becomes Victor Timely. He becomes all the Kangs. That's where the branching happens. He gets the
what kid?
book, and that seed is to who they drop the book
I'm
of.
totally fuck. Oh. No, that's Mr. Timely.
I
That's a
disagree. No,
no.
I
That's the
disagree completely.
no. That
Yeah, because
no. He
didn't in
prunes
the
that.
first
He
season.
No,
always
because
prunes that. No, that's the
no,
one
because
that kills. That ends the Kang dynasty.
hang on a second. When they drop the book off, when they go to this is very important. When hold on a second. Yeah, yeah, no, it is because you're right. When they're chasing Reinhold down, they go to where she dropped the book off, which was the sacred timeline. They then go to a
No, it was a branch.
branch. No, they then
She
jump to a
dropped the book
branch.
off on the sacred timeline, which
Exactly.
created a branch, and the
Exact
branch timeline is where
was
they go to
Victor
the fair.
Timely. Yes, that was so Victor Timely is a branch, but that
Oh, I know
moment
what you
where
mean.
the book
Yes, that
is dropped
becomes.
off, that is a pivotal moment. Without that book being dropped off, there are no Kangs. That kid would just grow up to be a whatever,
No, I
live his life,
disagree. I disagree.
and
I
I
I I disagree because in the
Or
first
Kang, or
season,
he who
he
remains was
he who
prevent
but
making sure that didn't happen.
but think about it. If that was not the reason, why would they have to give it to him on the sacred timeline? Then they could just do it in a branch. But the book has to be dropped off on the
This is why.
that's
Okay.
that's the
Okay, let's
that's the
say
apex of this whole thing.
let, I
Not apex, I'm sorry. Apex is at the
this is
top.
loop thinking and it's a little paradoxical, but let's say that's the first event. That happens, it creates the Kangs. Eventually, one of the Kangs becomes He Who Remains, and he says, I better stop me from growing exponentially and destroying all timelines. So he creates a sacred timeline which prunes so himself doesn't get out of control. There's enough of him out there in the existing sacred timeline, but none of them are like the superpowered Kangs. So, and then in his own timeline, because it's a loop, it's like he never gives it back to himself because he already has it. He who remains is in ultimate control of the timeline. Now,
Right.
what happens is you have Renslayer says, fuck this. The AI really, a creation of theoretically Mr. Dr. Timely, Mr. Timely in the
No, no,
future.
no. It's not. No, it's not timely. It's he creates it. The guy on the main time, the sacred timeline. He's the one who created the
He
AI.
who remains?
Remember?
No, you stop
Yes.
changing your mind. Either Mr.
I'm
Timely
not.
becomes he who remains, or he
No, he
doesn't.
doesn't. No, he does not. I keep saying he
You think
doesn't.
he who remains creates.
Victor Timely is one of the branches. He who remains came from the sacred timeline. He's that original kid who
So,
just that's the straight line.
no, but you're saying he who remains got the book that got dropped in the kid's office, in a room.
What do you Yes, he closes
How
that
does he who
cycle.
remains have the technology? You don't think he was the timely guy? Where'd he
No,
get his
Victor Timely is
technology?
just from the book that he keeps dropping off to himself.
No,
Victor
he who
Timely is just a
remains.
reason.
How does he who remains know everything? He creates it all himself?
All the Kangs have this knowledge. Victor Timely is just one version of a Kang that has that knowledge. All the Kangs
Sure.
have this knowledge. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. That's where the
Yeah.
branching happens.
So they
Which is
give a
why the
book to
book is
Mr.
pivotal.
Timely and he does what? He
No,
becomes a
they don't give.
variant.
Mm. No, the book is not given to Timely. Timely is a variant. The book is given to a kid. Okay, whatever the kid's name is. Again, let's name him Bob. Okay, they give this book to Bob, right? This little kid whose name is Bob. He has his book, right? He then decides, starts making decisions on what to do with it, how to utilize this
Right, and he
technology,
becomes
what
a
to
con
create with it.
artist and does a
One
Chicago show
right.
thing.
No, no. One of the branches that he is made from his decisions is Victor Timely. The original kid goes on to become He Who Remains,
I
and he has
I
to keep dropping the
just
book back
said
to.
disagree.
that to you.
I just no.
And
Oh
I
my
I
God,
think you're
think
you
absolutely wrong.
no, I okay, that's fine. You're
s-
allowed to have
so.
your opinion,
In
but
No,
in the
no, no, no,
first
no.
season,
Don't treat your own opinion as a fucking fact. unless you're
I'm
gonna
not. I'm not. I'm
speak
saying you're
out
allowed.
of canon
I li-
and
Hang on.
other stuff. There's
I
no
Dude,
literally
knowledge that
guys.
we know that that fucking kid becomes he who remains.
I literally just said you're entitled to your opinion. That's all I said.
In
That's
the
not me
first
declaring fact.
season, he says he talks about a variant of his in the late 31st century. So that tells you that not all variants come from this kid. They happen at other points in time
Yeah,
also.
yeah. The whole
I
point of
don't.
this show is to say there's
I don't
multiple
rem.
timelines, and a sacred
Whoa, whoa,
timeline
whoa.
is like
No,
the
they hold on.
core.
I unless you have a clip, I disagree. I don't remember him ever saying anything like that. In fact, I took it as the whole point that they were saying is that they all come from one very specific person. That is why he has to give him that book.
But not
If
not currently, because he doesn't give him the book. Remember, he who remains never gives the kid the book.
he does through the AI and through oh God, what is Renslayer? Jesus Christ, I can't remember his name.
Renslayer.
They do that at his beckon. She's tricked by Miss Minute to carry out his order. That order to drop off the book was from He Who Remains. She's made that very
Via the
clear.
AI, via Renslayer. I get what you're
Yeah,
saying. And you're not wrong. I totally agree with that chain of like
right.
executive decision flowed down through the AI as a last ditch effort. If you really want to, but like what remember that's a loop in itself, right?
Yeah, it's a very
The
confusing loop
AI after
because
all,
OB is involved.
uh,
That no,
we're
that
not.
really complicated. The whole OB thing is what keeps throwing me for a loop. Eh. It's that's the thing that's really confusing
It's
because
true
he
though.
keeps
Don't forget, we actually can't resolve this because there's a paradox. It's
right,
the which came first kind of paradox. It's a time loop.
Here
right.
you go,
Like the whole.
Skippy.
What?
Who are
In
you?
in in the chat that says exactly where he talks about the variant from the 31st century.
Can someone play it? Because I don't want to.
Uh,
Yeah.
actually,
Jerry, why
we
don't you
need to
share your screen?
pause, like in a serious way. Can we
Hold
cliffhanger
on.
this and come back to it right after?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I
All
don't know
right.
if Alex hears me.
So be right
All right.
back,
Meanwhile,
moment.
I will go watch that video.
Yes.
I'm gonna mute everybody.
Sounds good.
Oh, we're live. Okay, cool. You paid to see the Marvels? Oh, never mind. Okay. All right. No. Okay.
Good
So,
callback.
Jerry, I watched your clip. So here's I'm gonna do such a terrible job explaining this. I don't think that what I said was wrong. You're saying that there's other Kang variants at different timelines. He gives an example of his story begins as he's talking about a Kang that lived in the 31st century that then started doing the whole, layered universe and stuff like that. That was him. It still originated from the same person. It wasn't the Kang that lived in different timelines. That was just a Kang that
Wait,
lived
hold on.
years later.
Oh, interesting.
He doesn't mention anything from like ancient time. You said ancient. There's no mention of ancient times. That's just a
I didn't say
Kang that is.
anything about ancient times.
Well, he said other
You
time.
said he
Other
all came from the kid in the
yes,
1850s.
and I stand
And
by
I
that
said if that's him, then how was he saying a king that lived in the 31st century?
because that's the same way he got to like the end of the time. The point is not an immortal, but I guess if you want to use that
Then
term,
he would have just said in
that
the
was
31st century, I.
he says one of us. He Again, keep in mind he's not exactly 100% honest with everybody.
No,
He's
okay.
basically saying a Kang in the 31st century, which still in my opinion is just came from that original kid. He's just been alive for centuries because again of all his advanced science that he has access to that allows him to live now
But he
perpetually.
keeps calling it reincarnation. Also, another
Not
thing,
in that
there's a
clip he
sacred
doesn't.
timeline, but that doesn't when that loom is weaving, it's
Hmm.
weaving different timelines into a core a weave, a core let's say cable of multiple timelines. There's still a multiverse
Mhm.
in the sacred timeline. In other words, there's multi dimensions in
Right.
all of the sacred timeline. So, in other words, there's not one timeline, there's millions.
Yeah, but
And the
he's keeping
loom
them in
keeps
check.
it from growing to infinity. It just keeps it. There's a million timelines. The whole
Right.
angst of Loki series is they're killing all the people of, you know, let's say infinity minus, whatever, down to keeping 1,000 in the sacred timeline. In other words, he who remains calls out of all the infinite, this one particular loop is the sacred timeline. It's the one that we all get to live, otherwise we'll all die. But it's a self-induced war that kills everything. In other words, it's the Kang. It's himself that literally
Right.
brings the destruction of everything, and he's just the one variant of all the Kangs that keeps
Right.
a certain layer safe from the rest of himself. So
Right.
essentially,
And
what I think is happening is Loki says, fuck you all. I'm going to be the one to keep my own sacred timeline, which is essentially the same one but more. And you're going to be the one that's like never makes it to that level. I'm the one that's going to replace you in a new sacred timeline where there's still multiverse in the
mhm.
sacred definition, but the infinite rest of the timelines, we're going to prune to keep it within my tree of life type of timeline instead of the technological loop timeline. So
Well, I don't think
that's
he's
why I
pruning. I
say
don't
it's
think
an
he's
inversion
pruning.
because Loki
I don't.
becomes the new He Who Remains.
Yeah, but I don't think Loki's pruning anything. I think the whole point of the tree
The
was that
TVA totally prunes everything.
no, going forward, I don't think they do. I think
Yeah,
the whole
it
point.
seemed like the whole point of the TVA going forward was to
Was
seek
just to
out all the
find Kangs, right?
Kangs,
Oh,
Yes,
you
and
know
that
what?
they were
That's a good
like, we
point.
don't want him to know that we even exist.
Yes,
right.
that is actually spot. Oh, I like that. Oh
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
you
That's
just
what.
brought a new realization. They
Yeah.
don't know he. Oh,
My question
hmm.
still remains. Sorry, that was not. I wasn't trying to. Sorry, that was actually completely unintentional. Um, that was yeah. Sorry. My question is still, how do Kangs become Kangs without
Well,
having
when a
access?
mama Kang and a daddy Kang love each other
No, but
very
seriously, I
much.
don't think the book.
They rub their
I
Kangs
don't
on each
think they
other.
really lean on a book being the cause of of like Kang just exists in
That's
the
where,
timeline.
right. So that's where we see. That's the thing where we keep disagreeing. I'm saying him getting that book is the whole pivotal thing. What I'm betting maybe is that when they start playing with this whole like existing outside of time or other timelines, is that someone is still going to go back and create Kangs, because since Loki technically um, saved the multiverse, the Kang, that means he already saved some of the Kangs that exist. And because all these Kangs are technically already out there, and he's not specifically just pruning random timelines to stop them, because they're already out there, they now have the ability to go back and create themselves in the past in the same fashion as he who remains was doing. So they're basically going to be
No,
able
hold
to
on a
travel
second.
back in time and trigger themselves.
But if Loki doesn't stop Sylvie, he actually never gets to stop Sylvie. He has to blow up the loom. That's his solution.
Right.
My point is, if Loki was never around and Sylvie kills He Who Remains, then the loom overloads, blows up, and does the reset.
That's the thing that I don't really understand, because then I was like, okay, but if she does kill him,
Like He Who Remains wants her to kill him. I still feel like that's the thing, even though he says
I
in
think
that
it's meant to be
narcissistic, like, you think I
right.
really want her to kill me?
Right. So I think it's meant to be an illusion. He knows that her like killing him in that moment doesn't mean anything, because
Right.
again, they exist outside of time, which is why
Well,
Loki keeps
no,
bouncing back
he
to that.
says he'll reincarnate, and so one of his Kangs will replace him and create a new loom and a new sacred timeline eventually.
Well, no, it has to do with the loop that you're talking about. He'll reincarnate. He's like, yeah, she'll kill me, but then it doesn't matter. I already have things in play where someone will go to that kid and give him that book, and I will be right back to where I started. It doesn't matter. I'll just keep going. We'll keep replaying this loop over and over and over again. I'll become he who remains. Sylvie will come and kill me. We'll do it again and again and again and again and again. It's pointless. But yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
the
I
way
think that's what
I
he's
understood it.
basically implying is that whole loop doesn't matter. That's why he doesn't even fight back.
Right, which is why, yeah, him dying at that time doesn't matter. So what Loki does is he gets rid of the event that creates the Kangs by making sure that book doesn't get delivered, and he now sits on that throne.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying.
But
So
if
I
that
think
was
that
the case, then there would be no Kangs in the
that's my
MCU.
hence my question: where are all the Kangs from? And my answer was that because these branches have already existed, because Loki saved them all, these Kangs are technically already out there. Again, it's a paradox thing. So now all these versions of Kang at some point in an upcoming show or movie are going to go, holy shit, we got to go back in time and make sure that we actually create it. Which is
I think
why the
it's more
TVA is not
like
going to be
now
TVA
Loki
is now
makes
hunting
it
them down to make sure they
Loki
can't do
makes it
that.
so that they can eventually eliminate all the Kangs. Kang was making it so he would always reincarnate.
Right.
And because Loki blows up the loom, there's no failsafe anymore. He creates his own tree of life timeline instead of a
Mhm.
loop, like a sacred.
Right.
It's not like a string, it's whatever.
Right.
Because he does that, now they just have to go after all the Kangs. And then, of course, the
Mhm.
Kangs are doing their whole gather together arena style with like a couple of core Kangs in the middle and blah, blah, blah. And besides,
Right.
the Kang from Quantumania, we don't know for sure he died. They made it sort of like he just gets compressed into the
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what
It's
the
one of
fuck
those
was it?
deaths
Like
where
a quantum thing within the quantum universe, like in a
they
double
gave him
quantum.
one of
I don't know
those.
what the fuck happened to him.
It was one of those typical Marvel deaths where they could come back later and say, "Oh, well, you didn't really see him die. We never said he's
Yeah,
dead. So
right, right. He
he was just."
disappeared into the you know quantum depths, which are further down from quantum nowhere land. Who
Yeah,
knows what
just
the fuck
saying.
they
Yeah,
come up with?
he went into the quantum of the quantums of the quantums inside the quantums.
Right, right. So like, yeah. So,
Quantum.
but
Double secret quantum.
but it was so fucking awesome. Anyway,
It was. I'm.
the
Yeah.
visual
Oh,
effects, like to see it become more like Norse myth, like a tree of
I'm
life, and
amazed.
Yeah, that
Having
was
whatever.
super
seen
cool.
having seen Loki, I'm amazed that after there was a thing that whole came out that after Ant-Man came out and didn't do well and was very poorly received, that apparently they all thought that Ant-Man was actually an amazing movie and that was supposed to drive the whole Kang thing forward. And Loki, even though relatively popular, is obviously just a show on Disney Plus. But I'm so confused about their thinking because Loki's so clearly not only a better product as far as
Hmm.
entertainment is concerned,
Hmm.
but is so much more pivotal in the story than Ant Man ever was. Ant Man faced one
Uh,
Kang variant. Ant Man
it's the
faced one
first.
Kang variant and killed and quote unquote killed him. Loki literally created the new multiverse. This was so much
Hmm.
more important than what the last few movies have been about. They can build
See,
so much
here's the
more off
thing.
of that
Here's
than
the
off of
thing.
what
I'm not
happened in
sure
Ant Man.
it's new. I think he replaces. He he destroys the previous apparatus that was keeping a sacred timeline versus the chaos, like everything timeline. He destroys the loom and then use his divine power, his glorious purpose, to like energize the timelines he can grab, not all of them, because there's
I
infinite.
I
He
think it
doesn't
was
grab
supposed.
infinite timelines.
I think it
No,
was
but
supposed
I
to
think
imply
it's
that they get
kind
to
of
all of them.
implied
Yeah, I
that
think that.
That he
now,
saves
because
everything.
of what he is
Yeah,
doing, there are infinite timelines. And I
right.
think that's kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah,
the branching, the branches in the
right.
law they use.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
like the
interesting.
infinite timelines.
Right, that's the way I interpret it. Yes, I see. Definitely took all of it. My question also was, how does Loki? What does Loki do to revitalize all the branches, and why does he suddenly have this power, this cosmic power to keep all the timelines alive? Like, how does he
Well,
reach
keep in
that
mind
level?
that
That's what I didn't
he
understand.
over the hundreds or thousands of years that he's been looping to understand everything, because first he understood everything about the TVA and how that worked and how to make this stuff with the loom, and then
I think so.
once
Yeah, I
like
guess he
that
harnessed the
was
power.
hundreds of years, and then who knows how long, it could have been thousands of years, when he
It's
was
a,
doing the
yeah,
fight with
he
Sylvie
who
and
remains.
He Who Remains, because there was that one thing where He Who Remains is like, oh come on, you still don't know how um to
Oh, right, right,
Stop
right,
time,
right.
control
and then he goes
time,
like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
like
That's, by the way, one of those.
during all that time, that's how he learned how to transcend time, and it
But you
it
realize
probably
it's
took.
God magic. Like they definitely lean heavy into he is a god, even though he's an Asgardian, which is like, wait,
Right.
is that really God? You know,
Ac-
Asgardians are just like super bodies like the Kree. Like
no, I
they're a
get it.
race that's
It's,
like strong
yeah.
and durable. But like
No, but
he's
well, he's not an Asgardian. Remember, he's a
yeah,
frost
he's
giant.
not. He's a freaking
Yeah,
frost giant
frost giant.
child
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
But he
So
gets
actually, Jerry.
assimilated into Asgardian and becomes a god. I mean, in from Norse, both Norse myth and in Thor comics, Loki
Yeah,
is another god.
but I think Jerry actually. I just realized something. There was a line in there that actually lines up with also what Jerry said when he said that he learned how to do this over the course of jumping, and
Yeah.
the way no, but the way they actually show you that I just realized is, um, in an important line when you know that he surpassed the power of He Who Remains. Because the entire time they're having the conversation, He Who Remains has a sort of like cocky, like, "Oh, you think it's the first time it's done this? Trust me, I've done this." Blah blah blah. Like he knows everything. And at some point, when he has the conversation with Loki and asks him something, Loki turns to him and says, "Well, what makes you think that this is the first time we're having this conversation?" And that's supposed to be them showcasing that Loki has now surpassed them because he
Yeah.
actually got
And
one up on
Agreed.
him.
Yeah.
after
Right.
he says
Yeah.
that, He Who Remains drops the like I'm
Right.
cutesy stick, and he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a fail safe. He kind of just
Right.
talks like a normal conversation.
Yeah. He gives
Right.
up. He gives up
Yeah.
all everything at that
Yeah.
point,
Right.
Because
and
yeah,
explains
he
the whole
realized.
thing,
Yeah. Right.
narrative
So
stuff.
that's cool. Yeah. God, what an awesome fucking show.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, I really feel like that's the best thing that the
Yeah.
MCU has put out so far.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
totally
And how like in
vindicated
the
for
same
calling
week
myself an MCU fan.
they like put out some of their best and some of their worst material. Like,
Yeah.
are
You've
they
heard
just trying to average it
Kevin,
out?
I don't know. I've read articles where what's his name? Kevin
Feige,
Feige
Yeah.
Feige.
Feige.
has said he wants there to be variation in how, even though there's like a corporate plot, he wants the directors to have artistic license in, like, let's say, delivery. Um, so like each of the different movies, whether they're bad or good, is still, the onus on the director and that like particular writer staff to come up with like good plot and whatever and blah blah blah. Even
As
though there's
long
long-term story
right,
arc
as
like
long
phase
as they
4 and
tie it in. Yeah.
yes, yeah. But like Eternals and all the big names, and the director really tried to make it like awesome, and then it was like
Not
how
awesome.
20 characters and no character development, they just exist and have superpowers. It's like, what is this bullshit? There's better storytelling and freaking Agents of Shield.
So for me, the problem with all these Marvel projects and why Loki really stands out is I know Loki still technically sets things up, but I would say 9 out of 10 Marvel movies are throwaway stories with a lot of throwaway characters that do nothing but set up the next movie or show. That's all they do. It's basically they're a delivery mechanism for the next movie you're gonna go pay to watch or the next Disney Plus show that you were gonna get to see. Loki was a self-contained arc, and that's why it was so good. It was a story from beginning to end within itself, and it didn't feel like it had the same things weighing it down as almost every other Marvel project.
The
That's
thing
what made
that
it so
also
so
benefits
goddamn good.
Loki is he's one of the first
That's why, by the way, it didn't
villains.
have an end. It didn't have an end, an after credit scene. It was one of the very, very few Marvel shows and movies that just concluded. That's it. We're done. Our
Yeah.
story's told. Moving on to other things. Whereas every other Marvel movie has to be, oh, we have to sit here for the credits and watch some character walk in that we've never seen before, and we go, oh, that's the guy from the other comic. Oh, I can't wait to see the next movie. What did I just watch? I don't know. There was a purple guy and he had a glove and he snapped. I don't give a shit. On to the next one. Like that's I've always felt that's why there's such fatigue because people go into these things, they sit through this brain dead bullshit, and then they're just like, all right, let's just see what the next movie is. Maybe the next one will be fun, whatever. Loki was very different.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic series. Awesome.
yeah. That's what
Amazingly
the only thing.
surprised.
Yeah, that's the only honestly that made me really angry at the end of it. I was like, fuck, they're done with this. There's not gonna be a third one. God damn it. This is the one show that I would love to see
Yeah.
more and more seasons of, and it's the one that's done. So, I just
Unless he
also
can like put himself in the timelines that he's
uh,
lassoed, or I assume that he can,
I mean like
but
this.
that might be in like, little things here and there and in
Yeah, the
the
Loki character will appear. There's like a Loki version
Really?
that's in the new Avengers. Yeah, it's there's different versions of Lokis in
They're
the
going to be
comics as well.
variants though. It's not that
Yes.
actual Tom Middleston.
Hiddleston.
He said he's done. He supposedly said that
That
this
that
was the
means
end of.
I
nothing.
mean, they
That
anchored him
means nothing.
at the freaking end of the
Um,
new end of time.
I
yeah, but keep in
mean,
mind, a Loki variant really can be just about anything and anyone. And again, in the
It's true.
comics, there are
Even
different
an
Loki. There are
alligator.
different Lokis. Yeah, there are
they're
different.
they're and they're talking about bringing back the original six Avengers to like quote unquote save
That's
the
not happening.
MCU.
I mean, Kevin Feige
Supposedly
was like,
Robert,
"What?"
supposedly Robert Downey Jr. is back. They haven't said what, but supposedly they roped him. I don't know. They definitely won't bring back everybody, but I can definitely see that they are trying or have tried because yeah, they are absolutely effed as far as their movies are concerned.
I have really severe suspicions on that article or that like rumor that came out. And even though Kevin Feige isn't gonna admit to anything
Right.
until the time is right, but like I still feel like that's bullshit.
Yeah,
There's
it
no,
entirely could.
yeah,
They could
it's
just be
totally
trying to
fucking
throw people
some,
off. Who
yeah, a
knows?
fucking
But
AI
I
wrote
could
it for
see.
some journalist, and
I
now
don't think
everybody's like
it'll
swooning.
I don't think it'll happen, but I'd totally see as a them always don't forget they always have backups. I can totally see somebody at some level saying, let's just reach out to them just in
I
For
case.
sure.
definitely
Let's
think
just
they're
say, yeah.
pivoting. I definitely think they're
Or they
pivoting. They got rid of
they
Blade,
better.
whatever, right?
No, 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 they upgraded.
Yes.
It's going to be an no, Blade is still coming and it's now going to be R-rated. They have a new release date for it and
Oh, I think
everything.
I did hear that.
Yeah. No, Blade is still up. What they did is they restarted it. They basically said I mean they didn't start filming yet, but they said they kicked out everybody involved and started from scratch basically. And it's not going to be an R-rated movie. And we still have Deadpool. That's going to tie into
Well,
things.
Deadpool,
Hmm.
and then of
Actually,
course,
apparently Deadpool's going to be
oh
a very
shit.
very important a very 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 important part of this whole story
And I
actually.
think
Oh,
it
at
takes
the ending
place
of
on the
the
Void Planet.
Marvels,
Yeah.
do you know about the after credit thing in the
Of course, yeah.
Marvels?
Yes, I spoiled it for myself because I will never watch this fucking movie. Yes, I know about Kelsey Grammer's Beast. Yes, I know that.
Actually, is that Kelsey Grammer?
Yes, that's the Kelsey
It
Grammer
almost seemed
person.
like a
That's
different person.
no. He looks different because they used actual CGI this time as opposed to when he had
Prosthetics.
prosthetics on
Oh,
in
okay.
in that X
And
Men
and
movie.
and
But
that's
yes,
and
that's
the
Kelsey
woman is
Grammer.
supposed to be binary. That was not Rambo, Captain Rambo, the woman.
That's her mom,
In
Yeah.
Rambo.
But
and
like when
it's actually different in the comics.
it's called
Binary
binary or
was
something like that.
Oh,
her name is Binary in the comics. It was Miss Marvel. She becomes Binary at some point. I forget the whole storyline, but they changed that up. Now it's the mother of what's her name of
Monica Rambo.
Monica Rambo. Yeah,
Right, but obviously she's in an X-Men scenario in that
yeah.
situation, not an
Oh, that's
Avengers
like
scenario.
so. Yeah, so that'll apparently also again all tie into the Deadpool movie. Yes, the X Men are that's their basically big push in the next couple of years because the people actually give a shit about X Men and people are getting excited about that
Hmm.
because nobody gives a crap about any other properties that they have.
I wonder. Well, and I think
Like the
one of
new Avengers.
the first thing to
Nobody
go
cares
is
about
like
it.
Fantastic Four, which has to be that X-Men universe. They're kind of
The Fantastic Four.
isolated, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's coming out in a couple of years. 2025, I think, is when the Fantastic Four is supposed to be
how
coming out.
much more is coming out before then? Like, what's next year's roster?
Everything. That's next year. They have one movie coming out. That's it. I forget which one
That's
it is,
it.
but only one. Yep, only one movie because everything with the writer's strike and the actor strike fucked
Oh yeah.
everything up.
Yeah.
So yes, 2025 is now basically when the next big batch of Marvel movies is coming out. I forget what's coming out next year, but it's only one movie. Oh, they also, by the way, are apparently completely. This is kind of fucked. They screened the finished version of Captain America 4, the one with the new Captain America, Mackie,
Mhm.
that actor.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it tested so bad they are reshooting the whole movie.
What?
Yeah. Not basically, it's not the whole movie, but they said they're reshooting about 80% of the movie because it tested so freaking badly. Yeah.
Wow.
They're throwing it all out and just redoing it. I'm telling you, they are completely screwed. Marvel is so screwed right now. It's ridiculous. They did it to themselves. Like they should have like been. They had such a good thing going with the
They
original
hyper-marketed the
phases.
brand and tried to get how many,
They tried to milk it.
IPs
They
out
failed.
in 1 year.
Yeah, they try. Yeah, they. You're right. It's oversaturation. It's the
They
again.
tried to
It's like the
catch
whole
up after
thing.
COVID, having like so much
Yeah.
downtime, and then they screwed it
Yeah,
up, and now they're gonna
they're doing
yeah.
the same thing. They're doing the same thing with Star Wars, and that's why the Star Wars movies are also like not and shows aren't doing that great. People are just fucking sick of this. It's the same, like I said, it's the same thing. Like you walk in, it's just a delivery device for the next show, and that's it.
Yeah, it's just you get fatigue
Yeah,
from seeing the same thing over and over again.
it's so bad that actually at the end of Marvels, that scene with when they're setting up the new Avengers is exactly the same thing as the Nick Fury scene. Come on, man, they couldn't like come up with a better way to do that shit. They just
Wait, what are you
replaced
talking about?
instead of at the end of the Marvels, when they have what's her name, Miss Marvel meets up with the with what's the name of the Hawkeye girl, Kate something or rather, and
Yes.
introduces her to the idea
Yeah, I'm
of the new
trying. Oh,
Avengers.
she takes on a
It's
very
it's the same it's the same thing as
she
Nick Fury when he's sitting in a
talks
Oh,
dark
like
from
room.
the first
yeah,
Iron Man.
Yeah,
yeah,
when he's in a
yeah,
dark room and she's like, "Have
yeah.
you ever heard of
She
the Avengers Initiative?" It's the same exact scene. Like that's really you guys couldn't come up with another fucking way to do this.
right. And why? What made like? Since when did she become leader material?
That's so the whole thing with that character that young woman plays the Miss Marvel
Hmm.
character. I everyone is completely baffled by this. It's a character that they've been trying to force down people's throats for years, and it hasn't worked yet, but they keep doing it. She's not a popular character in the comics. She was, in fact, so unpopular that they actually had to change her origin and who she really is by turning her into like a mutant in the comics. Nobody cared. She was the star of a TV show that was the lowest watched Disney Plus show like ever. It was a complete failure. She was the main character in that Marvel game that came out a
That's so
couple of years
funny
ago
because
that
yeah,
completely failed because no one cares about her as a character. I don't know why they keep forcing her down people's throats. No one, and now she's supposed to be like putting together this new Avengers initiative and following a movie that is a complete financial flop.
Some
I
mucky muck
she's being
probably got a
received
buck
very
no,
up
well
his
by
ass
fans. I
that
think I don't know
says,
why you're
yeah.
like,
saying it's
we have
floppish.
to do
Wait,
something for this demographic.
yeah, but nobody wants this demo. And when you say well received, she's well received by a very small group of people, and even the people that don't like. Again, I have nothing
Right.
personal
Hence
against her.
the bug up their ass. Like
Right?
they think it's a thing and they're like,
Yeah,
we're gonna work it to this.
yeah. Stop making her a thing. She's not a thing. No one cares about that character at all. No one ever did. Everything that character has been in has not been like popular or successful.
Think of it this
I
way. I mean, Nick Fury is a minor character, even in the comics. He's just like, boss
well,
agent in
he's an
Shield and
iconic,
Sword, and I know it
but he's been an iconic character though for a very, very long time. So much
in
that
the
they even
fucking
gender swap him.
comics.
Yeah, Nick Fury. Oh yeah, Fury is a very pivotal
Yes,
character and always
yes
has
and
been.
no. He's not a superhero. He's just like he's a supporting character that got fame and popular and whatever at because I'm sure he had his face in all over the place. And I'm talking out
Yeah.
of my ass. I get it,
No, he
but
was
like
no, he was
he's
like
not.
he's one of those characters that pulled the strings a lot of times,
Sure,
basically. So
sure,
he was always
sure,
behind
sure,
the
and
scenes.
probably supported almost every comic throughout, like all the different comic book series, like you know this one and that one and this one and that one, and they obviously in the MCU he's got a specific situation, and
Yeah.
I can only understand it from an MCU perspective, which it really is hyped up. But like
Yeah, except they
in
ruined him in the MCU.
yeah, I mean, he got hokey in a bunch of stuff. Like
Well,
as a
the
supporting
Secret
character
Invasion.
in Captain Marvel, and then now the Marvels, he's
Well, this
very
did you watch?
mundanely human.
Wait, did you watch a Secret Invasion?
About half.
Okay, so they completely destroyed his character. They retconned a bunch of stuff about Nick Fury and made him basically into a incompetent old man that actually got to where he was through complete bullshit methods.
See,
They
what's funny
completely
is
ruined it. They
I
ruined the
think
character.
I agree with that, but he's just a fucking human. Like he's not a man with superpowers. He's just a
No, he's
human
not,
with
but the
a
point
big
is
connections and high access. You know what I mean? So
in the
he's really
comics
kind of
when
dull.
well, no, but the whole point is that that's the whole thing. Like that's what made him so interesting. He had all these limitations of being just a man, but he wielded so much power because of his intelligence and because of his just overall ability to be this like super spy and knowing how everything works and always being like one step ahead of everything. Then the Secret Invasion came out and said, "Oh no, this is all bullshit. He just got lucky. He found a bunch of aliens that he could send out and do his dirty work throughout this whole time, and that was it." And then he completely fucked up the Kree invasion and all this other crap. So he's actually a complete fuck up. Um, so yeah, um, they he basically was a very interesting character based on his espionage and intelligence, and they completely took that away from him in the show.
That's a whole genre of storytelling, and they just, the comics had, I'm sure, all kinds of comic book series based on like spy thriller. You know what I mean? Like that whole, especially in the early 1900s. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about how long comics have been out and all that stuff. That was like a genre that people really got into, especially probably during the Cold War. Like that was
Well,
entertaining.
yeah, but it was also interesting. Besides that, it also focused on the fact that it was a very interesting concept of like man versus the Superman or man versus God, because you
Right.
had this character who again was just a human with no superpowers, and yet these gods and these mutants and these other incredibly powerful beings did his bidding and basically
Yeah.
respected him and considered him to be one of their own, and that was the whole, the
Yeah.
power of
You're
man
not wrong.
versus
I'm not. Yeah,
sort
I
of thing.
don't dispute that at all.
Right, and then Secret Invasion came along and said, "Nope."
But when you think, all I mean, yeah, no, and that too. I think my point is more like when you talk about famous superheroes in the Marvel comic, property, you think about superheroes. You don't think about fucking, Nick Fury.
Yeah, no,
He,
he's
he's
just
he's
pulled
always a
strings in the
secondary
background. Yeah,
character. Is my point.
he's
He's
like
not ever a first
right.
character. So when they make, a whole spy intrigue type of series
Yeah,
to fluff background story, it was worthless because America's not into that and the world's not into that these days. Like that's not the genre people give a shit about. Number one, it doesn't meet the algorithmic formula, right, for good cinema.
yeah,
But then number two, to your point, they totally destroyed his character with so much fluff. It was like this is lame.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but any,
Yeah,
but
I always,
anyway, like I'm not sure I ever gave a shit about that character in the first place. Even like I was never a Captain America fan, but the movies did him really great
oh yeah,
justice.
yeah.
Um, that enjoyed a lot of them, a lot of the Captain America movies. But like at the end of the day, I'm really curious to see, Fantastic Four. Is that going to have anything to do with Kang? Who knows? But maybe not. And then
I don't know if the
there's little
first one
background
will. Yeah, I
linking
think what's going to
scenes.
happen is they're gonna do a bit of a setup thing, and then as usual, at the end of it, there's going to be some kind of like
But
Kang
when
or
is
Doctor Doom connection.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then even if they lean heavy into Doctor Doom as like the main Kang, um, like in the comics, there's a super Kang, like there's a huge Kang thread that gets really ridiculous. And when you talk about like power like orders of magnitude of power categories, you have like really ridiculous superheroes that are on a league above everyone and beyond. Like
Yeah,
this is like anime where it's like every movie's gonna bring raise the benchmark in terms of like power level and what their capabilities are. You know,
Yeah.
Kang is one of these guys that can literally just control fucking time, and it's like, oh, I don't want that planet. Let me kill the whole
Mm.
timeline that exists in. You know, like that kind of stupid power. That's
Yeah.
what I mean by Nick Fury is just this like mundane little. Think in the Marvels movie, there it's a fucking Earth is sci-fi now. Like what the fuck? It's totally in the future. You know what I mean? They're just
Yeah.
another alien planet with a warp gate right in front of it.
Yeah.
So it's weird to see that now we're into sci-fi mode. It's not like um, uh, there's a word that I can't remember, but essentially modern times. You know, it's like supposed to be modern, but it's all hyper sci-fi modern. Where even like Shield has it's no, it's
Well, keep in mind because the whole multiverse
Shield,
thing,
Sword, and
the Marvel story that you're following in the MCU isn't necessarily our world.
no,
So
of course, yeah,
we're sort of assuming that's what it is, but supposedly they're saying that you are seeing one of the main
yeah.
variants or
The
one of
scene with the
the
Beast is an
or
alternate
they're the main.
reality. It's a different timeline. They make it clear.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm trying to
not
yeah,
only that, but now like they tried to keep it up with current times, and now there's been like this blip, and all this other stuff has happened in
right,
the concurrent time that you couldn't consider it our timeline if you wanted to.
right. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah,
Right, right. They
it's
already
getting
blew the which timeline are we technically in now?
Yeah.
And then
no. Don't forget
Marvel's
also by
just
the way,
separated the Marvels that just came out separated a character into another timeline.
this is also
I mean,
interesting. Keep this in
spoiler
mind.
alert. Too late for the
Yeah.
alert,
Oh
but
no, no, yeah, no. It's fine.
not
No,
to you, but to our precious listeners.
anyone who went to see that horrible movie, I'm sure both of them already went to see it. So don't forget the multiverse that they talk about in the Spider-Man movies,
Yeah.
the animated ones,
Hmm.
are also part of this. This is all
Yeah.
part of the same canon.
Which is
To
funny
the
because it's a spider TVA. Technically, it's like a group of Spider-Men
Yeah.
from different
it
timelines
is,
that got together, and they're
and if
their
that
own
doesn't
TVA, which is really fucking. How is that supposed to interact?
And if that doesn't make things even more confusing, remember I mentioned Insomniac Games, who have the Spider-Man games now, who I said it's like their own timeline, and they're doing like their own, like they changed up a bunch of the canon and changed a bunch of the characters. There is a reference to Spider-Verse in the game. At some point, you actually open up a portal, and it's a character from the Spider-Verse movies who interacts with you, and they mention Miguel O'Hara, who is Spider-Man 2099
Oh,
in the
that's funny.
Spider-Man movie. Yeah,
Oh,
and then
that's
she
funny.
like
Yeah.
Yes, so that's also so basically what Insomniac is doing is they're saying like, oh yeah, we're just another Earth in this multiverse. That's it. So we can do whatever the fuck we want. And then there's the live action Spider-Man movies. And then don't forget, there's a connection in the Spider-Verse movies with the live action movies. Besides the fact that they show the Prowler from the live action movie when the Spider-Man
Oh yeah.
2099 when he's explaining to Miles what, the importance of Uncle Ben dying, when they show the various clips, you see the other live action Spider-Man. You see the Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man in one of the clips playing. You see uh, Garfield, whatever his name is, actor
Andrew Garfield.
in another Andrew Garfield in another clip. So they're all referenced in that same movie. So
Hmm.
this shit's getting really very confusing.
Yeah. I mean, you just. I think that's why Kevin Feige, but it's like it's impossible for my brain to remember how to pronounce it. I don't know why.
I will never
Sorry.
judge you for getting a name wrong.
Apologize.
Trust me.
Well, I apologize to him, but nobody else.
Yes.
Oh well, I'm pretty sure he's going to unsubscribe after this.
Yeah.
Right. Um,
Damn it, my favorite
as long as
podcast. I
each
can't.
movie is self-contained, that would be like ideal, so they can all make their money back. But like
Yeah,
all these different
yeah,
versions have to. I mean, think about it. Sony won't let go of their ownership of the
right.
property, and they negotiate and whatever, blah blah blah, and movies have happened. But when they get back into this stuff with Fantasy Four coming out and like whatever other minor properties, um, and series, they're just trying to like market the shit out of it. What they got going.
Yeah, it also kind of was that I think, I mean, a lot of people have said this, but what is it, in pitch meeting, they brought that up a few times. With this multiverse thing, the stakes really don't matter anymore. Because if you have this multiverse, any character that dies, you're just like, there's like a million other versions of that character, so who the hell cares?
Yeah.
They
So
have to
like
really, yeah, I
the
agree
stakes
with you.
are really kind of like, eh,
You know what matters more though is character development. Like, the death of Black Widow was
spoiler.
actually really tear-jerky. Like, oh shit, no, because, you know,
Wait, did she? Oh, right, in the Infinity thing, right?
yeah. So
Yeah,
you had a character that was a supporting character throughout all, and again, like human with high skill, not like actual superpowers. Um,
yeah, that's a good point.
a support character for Iron Man, and then a support character throughout the rest of the movies, or part of Shield and all that stuff, and then dying, you really had a huge amount of viewer investment in the character because she was throughout a whole bunch of stuff, and you got to see how like they matured her storyline instead of just being freaking eye candy for Iron Man to make
Right.
chauvinistic comments about, right? Like fast forward, she's gone, and the whole that movie, the Black Widow movie, where it's like the new actress is the other.
Sister. Yeah, I
Yeah,
forget her
yeah,
name.
the sister, right? What's her first name? Something Pew?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
The actress or the character?
yeah, the actress.
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh, thank you. Um,
Pew pew
up
pew.
and arguably even hotter than
Oh
freaking
God,
what's her
yeah.
face.
Oh, Florence Pugh is
Don't get me wrong.
again. I'm trying to
I'm
be
I find the other,
respectful, but yeah,
yeah, but I find both to be like ultra in that really like above
yeah,
10 category. But like
yeah. See,
Florence
that's where
Pugh,
you and
oh
I once
shit.
again disagree. That's where you and I disagree. Scarlett Johansson does nothing for me. I don't get it.
Oh, she's
Florence
always been one of
Florence
my
Pugh, man.
top
Yeah,
Oof.
list.
she's pretty cute.
Yeah. I mean, she's not like bad. And again, I know she's gonna lose a lot of sleep over me saying this, but
Yeah, really.
uh, she's just not my type. She's an attractive
No,
woman, just does
of
nothing
course,
for me.
types
Where
types
Florence,
subjective,
where
beauty's subjective anyway.
Whereas if
But
Florence Pugh
anyway,
started selling jars with her farts, I would buy some. Is what I'm saying.
freaking bathwater and all that
This would be
shit,
called
stupid.
Pew. It'd just be called Pew.
Oh my god, the nugget
Pew in a
phone.
jar.
Oh
Pew
my god.
poos.
Pew.
Don't go there.
So like you buy like a bigger one, it's Pew Pew. It's
Wow,
Pew
it's
Pew Pew Pew.
almost 2 hours talking about Loki. That's
Yes, no,
hilarious.
yes, and yet we talked about the Marvels for all of 30 seconds
Yeah, right.
because there's nothing to
Anyway, so
discuss.
two questions. We're sort of exhausting that whole MCU situation. And I see it tagged twice. That hashtag twice. That's hilarious.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't even realize. Oh,
so
that's
two
funny.
hours. Do you want to hit on another topic, or is this getting
I think we need to
close
wrap
to
this up and
finish
save the
for?
time.
Yeah,
Unless you have something pertinent you'd like to ask that I
I
can
don't.
totally disagree with you about. Well, you said you had two questions, so now I'm kind of curious what those are.
It's
You
been
said I
two
have two
hours. Do you want to
questions.
finish? The
Oh,
second
those were the
question
questions.
being
I'm sorry. Gotcha,
literally
gotcha. Yeah,
directly related. Do you
yeah.
want to talk about something else?
I gotcha. Yeah. If I was saying it, I would actually think we would need to wrap this up so I can.
We can save this
Um,
stuff for next time.
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
it's anything that's like
Remember,
entirely.
we're going with quality over quantity at this point.
Absolutely, 2 hour
Yeah,
freaking. I mean, it was
sure.
very pertinent that the
Nailed
finale
it.
just ended this
Uh,
past Tuesday, so we're actually
Yeah.
spot on. Good
Jerry, we
timing.
ended the podcast talking about farts and jars. I don't
yeah.
understand where.
Yeah.
Do you not smell the quality?
Smell the quality.
Mm.
Oh,
But yeah. Anyway, Loki's awesome. They need to do more shows like that. Please, for the love of God, do more shows like that.
yeah, I agree. And then maybe next episode we'll talk about our flag means death second season.
Oh, good. I can
Well,
totally
maybe
stay
you
quiet
should
for that.
put it in the list.
Yeah, I'll stay
Yeah,
quiet
yeah.
for that one because I have not watched it, nor do I
I
But
want
you
to.
might
don't
have
you
to
didn't
watch
watch the
that
first
now.
one, did you?
I tried. I couldn't get into it. It's not a bad show. I couldn't.
It's
I couldn't. I
you
know
need
it's good.
you need to be
It
into
has.
it,
I
yeah.
love. I love everyone who's in it. I love Taika Waititi. I love
Mhm.
what's his name, the guy who plays the main character. I forget his name. The New Zealand dude. I love him.
Yeah, they're all. I think
Every,
aren't they all
every,
New Zealand? Maybe not everybody, but
it's the people that worked
mhm,
on
On the
the what we
original,
do in the
like,
what we do in the
yeah.
shadows and stuff like
mhm,
that. Yeah, yeah,
mhm.
they always work. And the Flight of the Concords is, I think,
Yeah,
some, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I like everyone. But like, yeah, after I think no, not even. I think I saw like two, maybe three episodes of season one, and I was like, I was kind of bored. It's not a
sure.
bad show. It's just again, it's just not for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's niche,
but
niche.
yeah, I'm glad it's doing well. Because I like everyone involved in it, so I'm glad it's a hit. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
I
for
think I'm
next
not
time.
really into the whole pirate. I think I'm honestly I'm not into the whole pirate
I'm not either.
seafaring
I'm not
thing.
either
So
into pirate stories at all.
yeah,
I think they're kind of
yeah,
stupid. Ninjas over pirates any day.
yeah. No, definitely I could do that. Ninjas, yeah, ninjas do it for me.
I think
Um,
they're arguably okay.
I mean,
Christ,
robot ninja
I love how Kevin
pirates
I
would
love how
be the
Kevin has known
best.
you so long that it doesn't phase him anymore. Like his mind has learned to just not register your horrible puns. That it just
Wait,
yeah
oh
just
shit. Or it totally did
yeah,
go over my head because I was,
yeah
wait,
exactly yeah.
are you just being sarcastically joking that like, pirates are better than ninjas? I'm like, wow, I never realized you had a thing
No,
for
that's not what he was
pirates.
saying at all. No,
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 he
I
made a
didn't
way
realize there
worse
was a
pun.
pun at all. Wait,
But much in the same way that your
I'm gonna
brain
have to listen
erases
to,
the fact that you can see your nose, your
yeah,
brain erases Jerry's puns. It's a
yeah,
skill I would love to learn
yeah.
because,
No, I agree.
yeah, I
If
think
when they're
that
good ones, I go, oh yeah,
that joke like literally reopened the scars on my
the
balls.
wound. Yeah, damn it.
Yes, I am bleeding semen everywhere.
Oh my God.
ew.
Get
You
it because they're pirates.
coughed
Anyway,
and you burst
what?
at the seams.
Oh my god. That makes me think of the newest season of Big Mouth, which so far is fucking
Yeah,
fantastic.
I'm like 4 seasons behind at this point. I have
Oh,
to really
you
catch up.
have to watch it. It's
I will.
hilarious.
It's one of those shows I absolutely love. I just haven't gotten a chance to watch it. I will. Anyway, all right. I'm not even gonna bother with closing thoughts. Honestly, I don't have it in me.
See Loki,
They snipped it
Yeah,
out of you.
your
yeah,
your
yeah. I was gonna say,
you
yeah, they cut off
you
the delivery too
see
much.
the Marvels at your own risk.
Do not. No, 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 no. I'm gonna take a firm stance. Do not see the Marvels because you don't want to fund that crap. You want those movies to stop being made. You want more Lokis, less Marvels.
It's not the worst.
Nobody can hear you, Kevin.
A little hokey and campy, but it was fine. Actually, a lot hokey and a lot campy, but it was still fine.
Mm.
Actually,
I say just
there were like
you know what?
two scenes where I was like, really? Like break fourth wall. Am I really watching this movie? Yep, I'm watching
You
this
know what's a
movie.
shame too? I love Brie Larson. I love her. Everybody who like goes those stupid ass toxic fanboys that go after her. I want to make it clear. I'm not on that side. I'm not
She
taking this whole like.
sings in this movie.
Yes, yeah I know. I God bless her or God help her. I don't know. Either way, I love Brie Larson. I think she's awesome.
I do too,
Um,
actually. Super
and
fan of
I really wish she was a
Scott
better
Pilgrim.
character. I think her character's written like shit, honestly. Like she was a shitty character in her own movie. She was a shitty character in the Infinity movies, and now she's a shitty character who's been relegated to like a backup character in a sequel to her own movie. It's so weird.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
the real Captain Marvel was like a cool character in the comics.
I don't know enough about her. I
For
really
me,
don't.
as a subjective
Everything I'm
opinion.
everything I'm learning from this about that character has been as people have a discourse about the movies, and
You know what it is?
there's not
It's
exactly an
essentially a
objective one.
Superman um type of
Right.
trope where it's like
A little
almost
bit, yeah.
totally invulnerable and like mega uber strength and powers beyond crazy. And it's like,
But then they have to find reasons for her not to be where she's actually useful all the time, which is
well,
annoying.
well they but that's
She's off
okay,
doing
but that's
yard
the
work for some,
Yeah,
Superman
you
dynamic
yeah.
know,
where it's like
back galaxy.
he's got so much power that like he's always got that struggle where he might like hyper cause harm or something like that, but they didn't do that. the the
Who's,
the
I mean, Superman?
angst and
Oh,
the turmoil in her character's psychological profile is nowhere as intense as like the Superman trope, like the
Mm.
all-powerful being taking responsibility for their thing. Like in it, and you get a lot of her um why she is the personality that she is in the Marvels movie, but like I don't know, it doesn't seem epic enough. It's sort
Yeah,
of too
they
almost
didn't do
like
a good
teen
job with the
angsty
character.
versus
That's what
epic
right. That's what I'm saying. Like
moral
they made
quandary kind of
her.
thing.
They kind of neutered her character in a very uninteresting way.
Yeah,
Even again in the first
yeah,
movie,
and I
it
almost
was
feel
just,
like it's not even Brie Larson's fault. It's like she tried
it's
to
not. Oh no, it's not.
personify
She's
and put
great. They
her
did. Yeah,
acting
they.
skills into a thing, and I don't think it's her lack of skill that didn't do it right. I think it's like the way they portrayed her in the writing. Anyway, we don't need
Oh,
to
I
get
agree.
into it.
No, I agree. I
Derailed
agree.
back into that.
It's a shame because
Start and
this
end
will
with
she'll
the
never.
Marvels.
She's definitely out of the Marvel universe at this point. She's done. She's already said she's sick of the toxic fan base and all the shit. And you can't blame her. Like
Actually, that oh, I still don't know the name of the other superhero.
he does not have a name. You mean Rambo, whatever
Yeah,
character?
yeah, Captain
He's
Rambo.
nobody. He doesn't exist in the comic books. They don't.
At
We don't.
all?
Or at least they have no. They haven't established who she. Or no, I'm sorry. She
Oh,
might. She
that's
may
so
actually.
funny
Let me.
because they kind of play out.
She
If that's true,
may. I don't remember. No, she does exist. I'm sorry. No, she does, but I don't remember who
Wasn't
the
it
hell
like
she.
Spectrum or something like that?
yeah,
Sorry.
but
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what's
No,
funny is they,
I think she is actually. I just don't remember which character she is. I was confusing about something else. I
you know
was
how
confusing
every
the whole thing
movie
with
tries to
binary.
find a way to get like the superhero name. For the really oddball people, they come up with like a comedy way, like Modoc, the fucking giant face robot dude
Uh,
in
yeah, that was.
like um um the Ant-Man actor, like he delivers that like, oh, I get it. That's a pun, a blah blah or whatever.
Yeah.
And in the Marvels, they're trying to describe the Captain Rambo character by like coming up with names, and they make it into like this comedic sort of um continuous callback, but like it doesn't work, and you never actually understand her name unless you know. And I'm like trying to look it up, and what you just said, that actually almost makes total sense if it's a made up character just for MCU.
She's not.
But
I forget. I think she actually does have a role in the comics, but I'm getting things confused now. So please
well,
don't.
now what's interesting is, so you said you saw that after credit scene. So you
Hmm.
have the mom. So that superhero with she who will not be named because she doesn't have a name, the Captain Rambo meets her mom, but an alternate mom who's actually binary, aka Captain Marvel of that other reality.
So right. So it's weird because technically,
Because you
yeah.
find
Because
out
well,
she would have become if Carol Danvers didn't, like, it was a race to who was going to be in the ship that day, that fated day.
right. Which is why in Doctor Strange, in the last Doctor Strange movie,
Yeah,
when he goes to that other Earth where
exactly.
he meets Reed Richards and
Yeah,
Professor Xavier,
yep.
that she's Captain Marvel in that reality.
Yeah. By the
So
way, I don't think that's the world in the after scene.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. I think it's just one of
It's
the
yeah,
versions where she becomes Captain Marvel and then eventually binary.
which is fucked up. It would have done so much better if there was like a callback and a connection instead of, oh yeah, that's just a different multiverse. To your
Yeah.
earlier point where they're fucking up everything by they ruin good plot design by using the multiverse example, because then they can just explain anything they fucking want to.
Yeah,
It,
that's my whole
but they
thing.
would have been better if they made connections in a more relatable way. And so anyway, like my point is, if that's the Captain Marvel of whatever mutant universe with the Charles Xavier and the Beast,
Hmm.
what role does she play in that world? Meaning Captain Rambo that got stuck there because of the stuff she
Oh yeah,
does
I
in
don't
this
know.
movie.
I don't know. It's also right. Yeah, I don't
They
know.
that's totally happens in the movie. Like you see it as part of this plot that she
Right.
gets stuck in the
Yeah.
other thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Which again, make sure you write spoilers because this is very like literally just released. So anybody who does listen to us within the next like 2 weeks is getting spoiled.
If me keeping the spoiler tag means one less person goes to see
Oh,
the
so fuck the
Marvels,
spoiler tag.
yeah. In fact, I will say no spoilers.
Just
Listen to
say
this right
Captain
now.
the Marvels conversation and the
Right,
Marvels and Loki conversation.
right. That's it.
Anyway,
But anyway, yeah.
that's that,
A lot is gonna be
folks.
riding on the Deadpool movie. Is basically what is
Oh
probably
Deadpool could
yeah.
gonna throw everything over.
fucking knock it out of the
Good.
park as far as I'm concerned with Ryan Reynolds'
Right.
humor, which is still spot on.
Well, it's just interesting because
I
the previous movies were kind of like their own thing, and
Yeah.
the third one is going to be very heavily tied into what's going on right now with the MCU. So
Well, there
Well,
are
hopefully
scenes
they
on
don't.
the Void Planet, aren't there?
What's that?
I don't know. Maybe there might be.
Deadpool, you're
It's
telling me there's scenes on the Void Planet?
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so.
There's
Oh,
also
is that a
weird
coming
rumors.
attraction in one of the trailers?
There's no trailer yet.
No,
Oh,
there's no trailer, but there's
so where'd you hear
pictures
that from?
of like there's pictures of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman in costume, and there's like kind of
Black
like a
rubble
20th
all over.
century Fox kind of thing, like
Are you sure it's
in
supposed
the
to be the Void
dirt
Planet?
behind, as if it was pruned.
Huh.
Oh,
Interesting. Yeah,
interesting.
I didn't see that. It is.
Oh,
I
that's
want to see.
interesting.
Keep in mind though, it is going to be another one of those movies where there's going to be a ton of fucking cameos from other actors. Like there's rumors that like Ben Affleck's Daredevil will be in this. A bunch of other characters. I don't even know. I forget. There was a whole bunch of um, rumors running around about which previous actors are going to be in this. Like people that played Marvel characters throughout the years
I
are
wonder how
supposedly going
much
to
creative
pop in.
license they'll give Ryan Reynolds.
If hopefully a lot.
Yes, hopefully a lot, big time.
Yeah.
Well, but then Hugh Jackman too.
Yeah.
Although, whatever.
Yeah.
It's so funny
Anyway.
that he's come around where he was like, "I'm never doing it again," and
Oh well,
I mean, money's money.
Yeah,
would
exactly.
would you say no to Ryan Reynolds? Come on.
No, plus he did that what movie did he do where it's a musical? Hugh
Wait, Hugh
Jackman?
Jackman? Oh,
Yeah, where he's like the ringleader
the
to the
greatest show on earth.
Yeah,
The Greatest
right.
Showman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
No, the
think
Greatest
Greatest
that
Showman.
Showman.
That's it.
Greatest Showman.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that hit his like, you know, cr cr w- bucket list for creative goals, like to do plays and like do a movie that's sort of
Maybe
more,
he also knows like how
let's see.
loved he is as Wolverine. Like everyone absolutely
Yeah,
adores
but
him for that. Uh,
yeah.
He's
So,
giving the fans what they want, which is great.
right. First of all, he's awesome. But what's funny
Yeah.
is that Harry Potter short guy, like all the
Oh, let's
AI
not get
rendition.
into that because like that gets into a whole nother conversation. Save that for next
That's
time.
true. We're trying to say goodnight.
Talking about Daniel Radcliffe? Wait,
Anyway,
are you talking about Daniel Radcliffe?
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
how people
yeah. That is it.
fans are like renditioning him in Wolverine,
Oh yeah,
hairdo
that
and beard.
I would not be surprised. There's actually a very serious chance that he might be Wolverine at some point.
Is that true, or is that just like rumor mill on
It's the internet.
purpose?
Who the fuck knows?
It's
I don't
we're
know.
getting deep faked
Yeah,
rumors.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway,
And
all
even
right.
if it is nothing but a rumor, if that stirs up stuff and executives are like, "Oh my god,
I know.
5
Yes.
million people are like, please have Daniel Radcliffe
Yeah,
as
Yeah.
the
fans
Wolverine,"
fans
then
now have the
they will
ability to
go to him.
manifest a movie of their
Yeah.
type if they fucking make enough hype.
Think about it. For decades, people were like, "There's no one else who can play Charles Xavier except for Patrick Stewart. No one, please, for the love of God, if you ever make an X-Men movie, it has to be Patrick Stewart." And there we go.
And then like
And then
Pete
they got what's
Holmes
his
comes
face?
along
Yeah,
and
and he did
totally nails it.
fantastic. He's young version.
Yeah, yeah, he's pretty good. Anyway,
But
yeah.
who
All
are
right,
they
let's.
gonna who would they
Oh my God, we've been
field
trying to wrap up
as
for 40
For
minutes.
half an hour.
Yeah.
But we don't know who
Excuse
will
me.
play Charles Xavier in any kind of future mutant movies.
Well, they have what's his name, the British guy, McAvoy. They can,
I mean, but he's supposed to be older. So would they still cast him?
oh, older.
Or would they
Yeah. I
use
mean,
him as like a matured, like who he's already playing? In other words, to use him
I don't
again
know.
to continue the
Yeah.
canon.
Yeah, I don't know what timeline they're going to go with, so I don't know. I don't see any reason why they can't use Patrick Stewart for a while. So we'll see.
He's like he's done. He's like on the edge, isn't he?
Dude, he's one
Is
of
he
those
still
like
acting?
ultra. Yeah, he just did that horrible Picard show. Of course, he's still doing stuff.
Was that recent?
I
Yeah,
mean,
it just
the
wrapped
last
up last
like
year,
last
or
year or
Oh
something
this
like that.
shit. So
year
he's
was
active.
the
He's
it
total
was
active.
released.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's like crazy healthy. He like takes care of himself.
Oh
He's
fuck.
yeah.
Then what do I know?
He's
Talking on my
yeah.
ass again.
He's yeah. He's gonna be around for a long, long time. I'm not worried about it.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
once
so then
again,
that really should
let's
be it.
yeah, yeah, let's wrap it up. Like I said, we're skipping over the final thoughts because good lord. It's been 40 minutes. It's been a 40-minute final
Right.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
I should
ending
have been
soon.
in bed an hour ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, not
Good
that it
night,
hasn't been
Skippy.
great. Yeah, gentlemen,
Good night,
thank you for
Scary.
everything once again.
Good night,
Have a
Jerry.
good night.
Good night.
This has been a production of
It's just me.
Studios.